Chapter 43-43. Although Han Yueao might feel bad if he told her the truth. But Qin Chu wasn't a wishy-washy person. So he only replied with one word, yes. Hey, thank you, President Qin. Han Yueao endured the immense pain and hung up the phone. Then she cried for a long time until her eyes were red and swollen. She grew up with her parents and had an optimistic attitude. Grandpa, Grandma, and Grandma were still alive. The whole family was happy and harmonious. She had never felt the pain of death so close. So she couldn't bear it for a while. After crying for a long time, Han Yueao got up to wash her face and remove her makeup. Then she lay on the bed tiredly. It was almost dawn. But she wasn't sleepy at all. It was the first time she couldn't sleep so late. She held her phone and thought for a long time before posting on her WeChat moments. But perhaps she was afraid that Lin Heng would be sad, so she blocked the post from him. Han Yueao posted a picture of a little monk meditating. It said, "The today you hate will definitely become the yesterday you can't go back to, and the tomorrow some people will never hope for." The words were vague and many people didn't know what they meant. There were quite a lot of likes, but Xiao Xiao didn't reply. She was probably asleep. Yuan Bo, on the other hand, was a night owl. He immediately commented to Han Yueao. "Oh, who bullied you? I'll beat him up for you." Han Yueao replied to Yuan Bo, "Why aren't you asleep?" Yuan Bo smiled and said, "Aren't you awake too?" Han Yueao didn't reply, nor did she continue to talk to Yuan Bo. Just as she was about to turn off her phone and go to bed, she received a private message on WeChat. It was from Suyu. "Suyu, what's wrong?" Han Yueao, "Suyu, what do you mean by the ellipsis?" Han Yueao, "Nothing." Suyu, "Nothing. Why are you lamenting in the middle of the night instead of sleeping?" Han Yueao, "I'm just being pretentious." Suyu, "You don't have any work tomorrow?" Han Yueao, "Only one. I'm shooting the cover of Rue Shui magazine. It should be quick." Suyu, "Okay, then go to bed early so that you don't have panda eyes tomorrow." Han Yueao, "President Suyu, Han Yueao, "It's okay. You should rest early." Suyu, Han Yueao wanted to say something but didn't in the end. Perhaps she felt that it was inappropriate. She didn't say anything and Suyu didn't ask. It was a long time later that Suyu found out. Han Yueao wanted to say that night. "Suyu, life isn't easy. You never know which will come first, tomorrow or an accident. Let's not waste any more time. Sister Mian won't get a divorce. Marry me. I'm pretty, I have a good figure, I'm good at cooking, I'm good at showing off my wealth, and most importantly, Mrs. Su likes me." She wanted to strongly promote herself because she suddenly understood something today. Humans were actually the most fragile carbohydrates. They could disappear just like that. She really didn't know if she and Suyu would have the chance to be together in the future. However, if she was rejected after saying that, not only would she be embarrassed, but Suyu would also be in a difficult position. Therefore, Han Yueao suppressed her impulse in time and didn't say those words. Late at night, Qin Chu missed Huimin even more. He tossed and turned in South Hill Manor. He sat in the study and searched for something on the search engine. The weakness of the super-evolved clone. Yes, he had to know Layla's weakness. He couldn't be so passive anymore. He had to fight. He had to bring back his wife and son safely. Chapter 43-44. After flipping through a lot of information, he still couldn't find any flaws that could deal with clones. The few words that could be found about this were all unreliable movies and novels. Qin Chu's mood couldn't be described as just heavy. Xiao Fei had spoken to him on the phone during the day, and Ian had already agreed to cooperate. He would help them search the world to find the few informants of Doomsday Reaper. On the other side in the villa. After Qin Chu finished talking to Layla didn't seem to know how to restrain herself. Ridiculous murders still happened and they were even more frequent. Seeing that the new year was approaching, Gao Ran, the director, was like an ant on a hot pan. The next morning. It was a cloudy day and light snow kept falling from the sky. Perhaps it was because the city was shrouded in smog because of the heavy pollution. This kind of weather made people feel bad. After Qin Chu finished a high-level meeting, he heard from Assistant Yang that someone was looking for him, but there was no appointment. At first, Qin Chu didn't plan to meet them. After all, such people came to disturb him every day. Later, for some reason, there was a force in his heart that made him nod. "Who are the people looking for me?" "A woman and an old lady." Chin Chu rubbed his temples, looking a little tired. A woman and an old lady? Yeah, she looks like she's on the run. She's a bit unreliable. Assistant Yang added. Let them in my office. Chin Chu only said this calmly. Assistant Yang was stunned. When did the president become so approachable? So 10 minutes later. The old lady and the woman were brought to the president's office on the top floor. When they entered, Chin Chu felt that they looked familiar. Brother Chin Chu, do you still remember us? Assistant Yang's words didn't seem accurate. Rather than a woman, it was better to call her a young girl. This girl looked like she was only in her teens. She and the old lady were very, very old. These two were indeed dressed very sloppily. One look and one could tell that they were beggars on the street. However, after Chin Chu glanced at the girl and the old lady, he remembered. This was the pair of grandfather and grandson that he had sent people to pick up from Yunnan. This story started from when Hu Min, Su Yu and Hu Xiqian were on the run. They stayed in a guest house in a poor mountainous area for one night. At first, Chin Chu didn't know about this, because the fake Hu Min didn't even want to talk about it. After all, although the memories were shared, it was very passive. He had to use his brain to search for them. Later on, Su Yu brought up this memory. Su Yu wanted to pick up the person. After all, the person was his benefactor. Later, Chin Chu heard that Hu Mian wanted to make arrangements for them, so he decided to help his wife fulfill her wish. After Chin Chu brought the two back, they settled down very well. Even though he was busy with work and had never visited her, he treated her well when it came to food and drinks. However, perhaps the two of them were used to living a poor life and were very frugal. They didn't like to throw away their old clothes, so they were dressed so shabbily. However, Chin Chu really didn't mind this. Granny, why are you here? Chin Chu stood up politely. He didn't mind the old lady's clothes. He even politely called her Granny. Little Chin, I'm really sorry. I still like old clothes, so I'm a little embarrassed to wear them. It's okay. Take a seat. I'll get someone to pour you some tea. As he spoke, Chin Chu quickly ordered the people in the secretary's office to prepare water for the grandmother and grandson. After taking a sip of the hot tea, the old lady lowered her head and smiled. This is top-grade Qingming Longjing tea. Chapter 43-45. It's good that you like it, Granny. Drink it while it's hot. Chin Chu was still very polite. Brother Chin Chu, your place is so big and beautiful. The girl was young, so she was curious about Chin Chu's office. Chin Chu didn't say anything, but he looked at her as if she was a child. Grandma, are you and Xiaoling in some kind of trouble? Are you missing something? Chin Chu thought that the grandmother and grandson must be in trouble. Otherwise, they wouldn't have come here to look for him personally. Hearing Chin Chu's words, the old lady laughed. Brother Chin Chu, we're in trouble. Ever since you brought us to the city, we've been living in the lap of luxury. We even live in a beautiful building. I didn't even dare to dream about it. My grandma even said that she wants me to study hard and find a good husband in the future. Just like Sister Mian and you, we'll be husband and wife until our hair turns white. Ling's words made Chin Chu feel a little embarrassed. Xiaoling, I've arranged everything for the school, but it's winter break now. When school reopens in March, you can go to Rend High School. It's a newly opened private school. The environment and teachers are very good. Hey, I want to study hard. I want to get into Hong Kong University. Hearing Ling's wish, Chin Chu nodded in agreement. Yes, that's a good school. If you work hard, you'll definitely be able to do it. Grandma said that I have to study feng shui at Hong Kong University. Does Brother Chin Chu know about it? I've heard a little. The girl's words were a little unconstrained. She was a girl from the mountains who didn't know many words. The moment she opened her mouth, she wanted to go to Hong Kong University and major in feng shui. This was indeed a joke. However, Chin Chu wouldn't. Although he was cold, he wasn't someone who could laugh at other people's dreams. The girl's eyes were filled with hope and light. As she spoke, she chattered non-stop. Granny reached out and interrupted her granddaughter. Ling, stand guard outside the door. Don't let anyone in. I have something to say to Chin alone. Okay, Grandma. The girl was very obedient and listened to her grandma. Then he walked to the door and closed it. Grandma, I know you have something to tell me today. Please tell me. As long as I can help, I will definitely help. You and Xiaoling once took in my wife. Our Qin family will remember this kindness for the rest of our lives. Good child, Granny knows that you have always been grateful. But today Granny is here, not to ask for your help, but you are here to help you. Qin Chu was a little confused when old Madame Yang said that she was here to help him. Little Qin, if you trust Granny, please tell me your birth date and horoscope. I'll show you something. All right. Qin Chu almost didn't hesitate. Although it was taboo to reveal his birth characters, he didn't know why he inexplicably believed the old woman in front of him. Qin Chu wrote his birthday on a piece of A4 paper and handed it to his mother-in-law. After taking a look at the paper, the old lady held it with both hands and muttered something under her breath. It seemed to be an incantation that Qin Chu didn't understand. 10 seconds later, something strange happened. This piece of paper turned into ashes in the old lady's hands. There was no flame, but the paper silently withered. In the end, it turned into a pile of ashes. This? Qin Chu was dumbfounded. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he wouldn't have believed it. Little Qin, I have a rough understanding of your destiny. Although you are destined for wealth, the first half of your life is plagued with disasters, especially when husband and wife are incompatible. When he heard the words husband and wife are incompatible, Qin Chu's eyes dimmed. I know that something has happened to your wife, Mian, and she is being controlled by someone. I also know that you have an undefeatable demon by your side. Little Qin, if you trust Granny, let me help you this time. The old lady was straightforward and got to the point. Qin Chu raised his head and looked into his mother-in-law's eyes. He couldn't believe that this seemingly inconspicuous old lady knew so many secrets in his heart. Chapter 43-46. At the same time, the twins and Tang Chuan were still on vacation in California. Tang Chuan drove a black SUV with Qin Ning sitting in the front seat. The two kids sat in the back. The trunk was filled with food and drinks as well as some cutlery and camping tents. There's a famous town up ahead. It's said that it's beautiful at night. Let's camp here tonight. Do you have a problem with that? Tang Chuan asked the three women of the Qin family with a smile. Pudding, Little Bean, what do you think? Qin Ning could be said to be a very reliable aunt. She never made any forceful decisions. No matter what they ate, where they lived, or what they bought, she would always ask the two kids for their opinions. She was the model of a good aunt in China. Pudding, I'm fine with anything. Whatever. Pudding was a typical Buddhist girl. Her attitude was generally very peaceful. Little Bean was relatively easy to talk to. Camping? Is it fun? Will there be mosquitoes? Is it safe? What if we get kidnapped? The four of us together are billionaires. Do you think it's a good idea? Pudding glanced at her and interrupted. Little Bean, let me interrupt you. The three of us together are billionaires. We don't need to include you. After all, your savings are less than 1,000,000 yuan. To us, it's negligible and won't affect our overall wealth. Just look at you. I just want to be quiet and show off. You don't even give me the chance. Are we still good friends? No, we never were. We're sworn enemies. I think in our previous life you must have cheated me out of a lot of money and I chased after you. In the end, we both ended up in Mom's stomach, Pudding said without blinking as if she was telling the truth. Tang Chuan and Qin Ning couldn't stop laughing. Little Pudding, you're so talented. Oh my God, you two are so funny. My two babies are so talkative. They'll probably bully my sister-in-law's second child to death. After Qin Ning said this, she realized that she had said something wrong. Sure enough, the atmosphere instantly froze. Tang Chuan's expression also changed. He glanced at his wife and felt that his silly wife was too straightforward. Auntie Mommy's second baby brother is gone. Little Bean pouted. Yeah, I was wrong. I'm sorry, Qin Ning apologized. It's okay, Mommy will have more children in the future. Auntie is right, I agree with Mommy's decision to have a younger brother. After all, when Little Bean and I get married, Mommy and Daddy will have no one to take care of them. So, I hope we can have a younger brother who can help us take care of Daddy and Mommy. Qin Ning was shocked. She didn't expect Pudding to think so far ahead at such a young age. Pudding, I'm so touched by your words. It's nothing. This is what we should do. Daddy said that when we go back from our trip, the spring festival is just around the corner. He's going to take our whole family to the hot spring resort on Yunding Mountain. When I see Mommy, I'll definitely tell her what I said today. Mommy will be very happy to hear that, Little Bean said happily. Of course. I've never seen twins as considerate as you two. Ning, let's have a baby soon. They're so cute. Tang Chuan really loved children more and more, especially after he got together with Qin Ning. Chapter 43-47. Qin Ning tilted her head and glanced at Tang Chuan. Then she replied matter-of-factly, I can have the baby, but you have to take care of his daily needs. What about you? I'm in charge of being as beautiful as a flower. After giving birth I have to lose weight, take care of my body and work. Then we can let the nanny take care of him. We can both go to work. Nanny? Are you kidding? My brother and sister-in-law are so rich and my sister-in-law raised the baby herself. The baby is destined to be accompanied by his parents, not something you can make money for. They're still young and don't know how to pursue material things. You want to deprive them of their only dependence on their parents? Qin Ning's words made Tang Chuan speechless. He didn't know what to say. So, you have to think about it. When you want, you have to be responsible for her, not just providing material things and not caring about anything else. That's impossible. I'm the baby's father. I'll do my best. Tang Chuan said with a cheeky smile. At this moment, Pudding video called her daddy, but it rang for a long time and he didn't pick up. Weird. What's going on? After hanging up, Pudding picked up her phone and dialed the number. However, it said, Hello, the number you dialed is temporarily unavailable. Please try again later. Pudding held her phone and frowned slightly. Sis, what's wrong? Pudding saw that her sister's expression was a bit off, so she quickly moved her little face closer. I video called Daddy but he didn't pick up. Aw, that's fine. Maybe Daddy's busy. It's the end of the year and there are a lot of things to do at the company, Pudding comforted herself. But he didn't pick up either. Maybe he's in a meeting or something. Ask Uncle Yang. Pudding reacted quickly and asked Pudding to call Assistant Yang. Pudding immediately called Assistant Yang. Hello, Pudding. Hello, Uncle Yang. Pudding was very polite and didn't act arrogant just because he was her dad's employee. Pudding, didn't your dad say you guys went on vacation? How was it? Did you have fun? Not bad, Uncle Yang. I just called my dad but I couldn't get through. Pudding went straight to the point. It's nothing. President Qin is meeting a guest in his office right now. He probably has something important to discuss. If that's the case, then I'm relieved. Thank you, Uncle Yang. After hanging up the phone, Pudding finally relaxed. To be honest, the mommy at home was strange. She was really afraid that her daddy would be in danger. Qin Chu's office. After hearing Grandma's words, Qin Chu was extremely shocked. Granny, your true identity is... Only now did he realize that although this granny's appearance was not outstanding and was even a little ugly, her clothes were very shabby and her white hair was messy. She looked exactly like a poor old woman from the countryside. However, from what she said just now, he should be able to infer that she was a master who hid her figure among the people. After I'm done, little Qin, you might be a little scared. After the old woman finished speaking, the corner of her mouth revealed a somewhat strange smile. I'm not scared. Granny, just say it. I know you're here to help me. You don't have any ill intentions, so no matter who you are, I won't be surprised. Qin Chu was a person with a big imagination. He thought that even if the granny was a feng shui master, a master grave robber, or a family of witches, he would still be able to accept it. After all, people who didn't have some special skills wouldn't know so many of his secrets. After 5 seconds of silence, the old woman slowly spoke. Little Qin, have you heard of Miaojiang witchcraft? Chapter 43-48. Miaojiang's witchcraft. As soon as these words came out, Qin Chu's heart could be said to be turned upside down. This was a mysterious witchcraft that had been passed down for thousands of years. Some people who didn't understand the truth had always regarded Miaojiang's witchcraft as a demonic art. A witch who could cast witchcraft was regarded as a demon, but in fact it wasn't. A witch was just an ordinary person. It was just that she knew some spells that ordinary people didn't know. And these were really not superstitions. It was just that with the progress of human civilization, these things slowly declined. Now in Miaojiang there were probably very few people who really knew witchcraft. Most of the people who claimed that they knew witchcraft were mostly people who cheated for food, drinks, and money. Those who truly possessed unique skills would never flaunt it. Miaojiang's witchcraft, even in modern society, would make people's expressions change when they talked about it. After all, it was a kind of witchcraft that made people's scalps tingle when they heard it. When Qin Chu was young, he read a book about Miaojiang's witchcraft. Because many years had passed, he vaguely remembered such a story. It was said that in a mountainous area in Miaojiang, there lived a huge village. There were clansmen who knew witchcraft. Because there were some taboos in the clan, if they violated it they would be punished. And there was a woman in the clan. Because she fell in love with a man from the outside world, she ran away secretly. In the end, in the process of running away, she was poisoned with witchcraft. Then a pair of lovers died suddenly. Their deaths were extremely terrifying. It was said that Miaojiang's witchcraft was divided into many types. Some used insects, some used poison, and the poison was also divided into liquid and powder forms. Some used blackened weapons made of human bones, some used scarecrows, paper dolls, and so on. Hearing that his granny knew Miaojiang's witchcraft, Qin Chu was also very excited. He seemed to have imagined that there was a way to deal with that monster. "Granny, my family has been destroyed. Now only Xiaoling and I are left. Xiaoling only knows how to read fortunes and read feng shui. She has no contact with witchcraft. I still want her to find a good family to marry in the future, so I can be considered the last witchcraft master in my family." Without waiting for Qin Chu to speak, the old woman continued, "Back then your wife and her friends were chased by people. They passed by my village and accidentally bumped into my family. Can be considered fate. Later you still cared about our kindness and brought us to the city. I was extremely touched. To be honest, although I'm the last witchcraft master in my family, I haven't been poisoned. Before my father died, he warned me again and again. And to be honest, although I'm and I was. Granny, if you can help me, I really." Qin Chu's excitement was indescribable. For a moment he didn't know what to say. He wasn't someone who was good at flattery. "It's okay. Just promise me that you'll support my granddaughter Xiaoling in her studies in the future. I have nothing else to ask for." "Of course, I'll definitely fulfill Xiaoling's wish. I'm even willing to take care of her for the rest of her life," Qin Chu promised. "You don't have to do that for the rest of your life. Xiaoling has hands and feet and can live on her own. You just have to take care of her until she graduates from university." The old woman smiled. "I promise you, Granny." Qin Chu didn't even think about it. After all, his granny's request was too simple. To Qin Chu it was a piece of cake. "All right, can you take me to see that monster now? Do you want to go personally? I'm afraid you'll be in danger. She's very powerful." Qin Chu was a little apprehensive. Chapter 43-49. "It's okay. No matter how powerful she is, she can't do anything to me." The old woman seemed to be confident. Qin Chu made a prompt decision and immediately drove the old woman and the little girl to the villa. In the car, Qin Chu kept telling Granny and Xiaoling, "You guys have to be careful when you go later. She's a very inhumane mutated clone. She's very resistant to drugs. And she's very fast. Her methods are extremely cruel. More than 10 people have died in her hands. Their hearts were all dug out and their blood was sucked dry. Most of them are children." "How scary," Xiaoling said. "Why don't you wait in the car, Xiaoling? Granny and I will go in. I'm afraid she'll target you." During this period of time, Qin Chu had discovered a strange phenomenon when he imprisoned Layla. Layla did not like to attack adults. She liked to attack children or young people like young people. The bodyguards he sent to guard Layla were all safe. Firstly, it was because the bodyguards were older. Secondly, it was probably because Layla had not thought of a position yet, so she did not openly provoke Qin Chu's people. However, Qin Chu couldn't guarantee that she wouldn't suddenly attack the little girl Ling. After all, she was so fast that it was probably too late to stop her. "It's okay, brother Qin Chu. Don't worry. My grandma has a way to deal with her." Xiaoling seemed to be confident and trusted her grandmother very much. Seeing that she and Granny did not say anything, Qin Chu did not say anything else. When Qin Chu and the others came in, Layla was wearing a bathrobe and teasing one of the good-looking bodyguards. The male bodyguard stood very straight and did not dare to move. Layla's slender hand brushed across his chest, slowly groping. "How boring. Come and play. I'll make you feel so comfortable that you'll become a god." Layla's voice was extremely seductive, but the bodyguard did not dare. Outsiders did not know and always thought that this was President Qin's wife. If something happened with his boss's woman, wouldn't he be dead meat? Ever since Hua Xiqian died, Layla had been lacking a male partner to sleep with. This caused her already high desire to burn like a raging fire, and her thirst was unbearable. Therefore, after being ignored by Qin Chu, she targeted Su Yu. Originally she wanted to be seduced by Su Yu and sleep with him. Who knew that before she could make a move, Qin Chu would start negotiating with her. As for whether or not to agree to Qin Chu's conditions, of course not. Not only did she not want to cooperate with Qin Chu, but she also passed on Qin Chu's original words to Lin Ye. Lin Ye seemed to be quite dissatisfied with Qin Chu's action of sowing discord. Although she didn't say anything, Layla felt that Lin Ye wouldn't let this man live in the end. President Qin. When the bodyguards saw their boss, they hurriedly greeted him. Only then did Layla reluctantly withdraw her hand from the male bodyguard. "Oh, what brings you here? Even brought a helper. Let me see." Layla glanced at the old lady and the little girl beside Qin Chu. She laughed even more impudently. "Hee, are you here to deliver food to me?" She obviously treated the old lady and the little girl as food. "You won't even let your bodyguards go. You're really thirsty." Qin Chu glared at Layla with disdain. "Don't make the primitive desires of humans sound so despicable. You're not a boy, why are you pretending to be innocent?" Layla sat lazily on the sofa and smiled. The next moment, before he could see how she did it, Layla instantly moved in front of the little girl. One of his hands was gripping her neck tightly. "This girl is not bad. She's still a virgin. She must be very tender." Seeing Layla suddenly attack Ling, Qin Chu's heart sank. Chapter 4350. Unexpectedly, Granny remained calm, but she closed her eyes and started chanting some unknown incantation. In just an instant something miraculous happened. Layla suddenly let go of Ling's neck and screamed. Then her hands trembled as she ran around the living room crazily. Ling, on the other hand, looked at Granny as if nothing had happened. "Granny, this demon's hands are cold. It must be because the Yin energy on her is too strong." "Granny, this..." The grandmother and granddaughter knew what was going on, but Qin Chu didn't understand. He didn't know why, but the monster that was strangling Ling's neck suddenly let go and ran around the living room screaming. Ling turned her head and explained to Qin Chu. "Brother Qin Chu, this demon was under my grandma's illusion. He thought I was a ball of fire. Once a person is under the illusion, they will be in the same place. She really felt that her hand was burning, so she ran around crazily." "I see." Qin Chu was enlightened, but at the same time he was also surprised by Granny's illusion. Although Qin Chu didn't know much about Miaojiang's witchcraft, he felt that this Granny wasn't as simple as an ordinary witch. Seeing that Layla was almost tortured, the old lady chanted a few more incantations and instantly dispelled the illusion. Layla panted heavily and fell onto the sofa. Then she reacted and looked at the old lady and the little girl with hostility. "Who are you? We should be the ones asking you that, demon. Where did you come from? Who told you to come and kill innocent people?" Ling was young and couldn't hold it in anymore. She pointed at Layla and scolded her. Especially when she heard that she had killed many people, she was furious. As for the Ministry of Public Security, in order to appease the public, they didn't reveal the real number of deaths. It wasn't Jingda's fault. After all, Jingda did have some traces of the original owner, so even if he drank blood, he only killed some cats and dogs. Layla was a ruthless character after she came to this city. From beginning to end, more than 20 people, including adults, children, men and women, had been killed. Gao Ran had always felt guilty. Later, when he heard from Qin Chu that there was a way, he felt a little better. Qin Chu never dared to tell Gao Ran the whole truth. After all, the police were all humans. No matter how good they were, they couldn't beat a monster. Therefore, in order to prevent innocent people from dying, Qin Chu decided to take the risk and put Layla under house arrest. Of course, house arrest didn't work on Layla at all. She was still as evil as ever. "Hee, so what? What can you do to me?" Layla's tone was still arrogant. Her mother-in-law didn't say anything and just looked at her quietly. Layla looked at Qin Chu again and said, "You're really a good-for-nothing. You can't deal with me by yourself, so you asked for help. You even found an old lady and a child. Do you think you can deal with me like this? What a joke. Also, about the cooperation you mentioned earlier, I've already told the Lord everything. He has a lot of opinions about you now. I don't know if she'll fly into a rage and kill your wife and child." Layla's lewd laughter echoed in the villa. Qin Chu wasn't angered by her words. Instead, he looked at her calmly. "Hey little Qin, it's about time. Let's go." After confronting Layla for a while, the old lady didn't do anything and was about to leave. Qin Chu nodded and turned around. The three of them walked out. You want to leave? It's not that easy. Layla rushed out in a flash and went straight for the old lady. After all, she had been hit by the old lady's illusion just now and felt a burning sensation on her hand, so Layla wanted revenge. Chapter 43:51. Unexpectedly, the old lady waved her hand and a thick white smoke rose. It instantly blocked Layla's vision. Only Layla could see the thick white smoke. It was indeed an illusion, a very powerful illusion. Even someone as fast as Layla was easily blocked by her. After Qin Chu left with his men, Layla was still gesturing and shouting in the living room. "Old woman, if you have the guts, don't use any sorcery. I'll dig out your heart and pull out your tendons." The bodyguards were also dumbfounded. In their opinion, this woman was crazy. Why was she howling in the living room? After walking out, before Qin Chu could say anything, Granny spoke. "Little Qin, don't worry. This woman isn't a food-eating monster at all. She's been using human blood to quench her thirst and her hunger to quench her hunger. I used an illusion to trap her for 3 days. She won't be able to see anything during these 3 days. Moreover, she won't be able to go out and do evil, let alone contact her base." "Thank you, Granny." Qin Chu was relieved to hear that this woman couldn't go out and do evil for the time being. "Brother Qin Chu, don't worry. Even if the illusion disappears in 3 days, she won't be able to continue doing evil. Just now, my grandma has already gotten her hair in blood. When she gets home, she'll start casting spells to control her." That powerful. Qin Chu had long heard of the high-end witchcraft spells in Miaojiang. They could use a strand of hair or a drop of blood to control a person's body and mind. It seemed to be true. Yes, when she attacked Ling, I came into close contact with her and easily got her hair. As for the blood, I have to thank my little guy. It helped me get it without anyone noticing. Qin Chu lowered his head and saw that a very small bug had appeared in Granny's hand. It was black and crawled back and forth in her palm. It made one's scalp tingle. "Anyway, thank you, Granny. It's fine. Didn't I say that since I'm willing to help you, there's no need to thank me?" After saying this, Granny seemed to remember something else and said to Qin Chu, "After I finish the ritual in 3 days, I'll control this demon. Little Qin, come to my place and look for me. I'm going to cast a spell on you to help you find your wife. Is that okay?" Qin Chu was very excited when he heard that he could find Mian. "Yes, but during the process of casting the goo, you'll have to endure some extraordinary pain. Are you willing?" "I'm willing. Let's not talk about this anymore. As long as I can find my wife, I'm willing to give up my life." Qin Chu had made up his mind. To him, Mian was more important than his life. Xiaoling could not help but sigh. "Big brother Qin Chu, you're so good to big sister. I believe that someone as good as big sister will definitely be able to return safely." Xiaoling recalled that when they were in the mountains, Huimin had spoken to her gently when she was pregnant. She still felt that Huimin was the most gentle woman she had met in the city. She never put on airs and never looked down on others. Such a person should not fall into the hands of the bad guys. After driving Granny and Xiaoling to their place, Qin Chu felt much more relaxed. Granny's appearance was like a blessing from the heavens, solving all his worries. He immediately called Xiao Fei and told him to relax. After all, if he found Huimin, he would be able to find Lu Yan. Then Qin Chu drove to a place that he had not dared to set foot in for a long time. Chapter 43:52. Lexian's ramen. It was afternoon when Qin Chu arrived. There were not many people in the noodle shop after lunch. Now that the students were on winter break, business was not as good as before. However, the owner insisted on opening the shop and only closed it on New Year's Eve. When he saw Qin Chu, the owner greeted him warmly. "Mr. Qin, long time no see." "It's long time no see." Qin Chu walked in, took off his deerskin gloves and sat in the corner. "Where's your wife?" The owner knew that Mr. Qin and Mrs. Qin were inseparable. They came together almost every time. They ate a bowl of hot beef ramen. "My wife went on a trip." "Ah, she must have gone abroad. I haven't seen her in a long time." "Yes, she went abroad for a long time. After Huimin was switched in Yunnan, he had not returned for a long time." Qin Chu told the owner that his wife had gone on a long-distance trip to comfort himself. "Same old, one big bowl of beef ramen?" "No, 2 bowls." "Can you finish 2 bowls?" The owner was slightly startled. "Yes, I can finish it. I'll eat 1 bowl for my wife," Qin Chu said. Hearing this, the owner laughed loudly. His laughter was extremely hearty. You two are really interesting. When you two were dating, you were still students and often came together. Later on, when you went abroad to study, your wife often came alone. Later on, when you came back and got married, the two of you came again. Later on, you seemed to be in poor health and went abroad to recuperate for about 3 or 4 years. Your wife came alone, sometimes with your twin daughters. When you recovered and came back, the two of you came together again. Now that your wife has gone on a trip, you come alone again. Yes, we're husband and wife. We're going to be together for the rest of our lives. Chin Chu had a blissful smile on his face. This kind of smile only appeared when he mentioned Huamin. Let me tell you, when you were recuperating overseas, every time your wife came, she would order 2 bowls and say that she would eat one for you. Did the two of you discuss this beforehand? The shopkeeper's words made Chin Chu have mixed feelings. His hands trembled slightly. My wife, did she say the same thing? Yeah, it's the same as what you said. Okay, I won't talk to you anymore. I'm going to cook some noodles for you. Eat them while they're hot. The boss was a warm-hearted person. He chatted with Chin Chu for a while. He hurriedly went into the kitchen to cook noodles. Chin Chu looked at the familiar environment and the familiar school across from him. The only thing missing was that familiar voice. At this moment, Pudding sent a video call. Chin Chu didn't want to take the phone because he didn't want the kids to see his melancholy face. However, he was afraid that Pudding would think too much. After all, she was a meticulous child. Therefore, after thinking for a while, he still picked up the call. Pudding. Daddy. Pudding called out sweetly. You're eating noodles at Oxian's? Pudding immediately recognized the setting behind her daddy. Yes. Do you miss mommy? Pudding was almost certain that the person at home wasn't her mommy. Otherwise, if her mommy was here, her daddy would never come to Oxian's ramen alone to eat. Yeah. Chin Chu nodded. Sis misses home a little tonight. He misses you and mommy. She's a little moody tonight, so Auntie and Uncle Tang went to comfort her and tell her stories. What about you? I took the opportunity to run to the balcony and video call Daddy. Chin Chu smiled. Daddy, the scenery in California is very beautiful. You and Mommy have been here before, right? Yes, she also likes Hotel California, Chin Chu said. Then when Mommy has a younger brother in the future, the 5 of us can come to California again, okay? Chapter 43-53. The 5 of us will go on a trip to California. This was Chin Chu's promise to Pudding. Daddy, when can we go back? It's almost Chinese New Year. I spoke to Grandpa on the phone today and he said that you should go to the States for Chinese New Year. Our family is all in the States, so if you bring Mommy with you, we can all be together. Daddy is still a little busy, so it depends. Okay, then you must take care of your health. I will. You and your sister have fun. Bye, Daddy. Bye. After hanging up, Chin Chu lowered his head and ate 2 bowls of beef ramen alone. The truth was, his appetite hadn't been very good recently and he ate very little. Usually he only ate a bite, but today, perhaps because he knew that his mother-in-law could help him. She helped him find his Mion, so he was in a much better mood and his appetite increased greatly. In the end, the 2 bowls of beef ramen were finished by Chin Chu. After being satisfied, Chin Chu drove to the Municipal Public Security Bureau. There were 2 of their friends at the Municipal Public Security Bureau. One was Gao Ran and the other was Jiang Shaowei. Chin Chu asked them to meet at the Municipal Public Security Bureau's office. Recently, Wei Yunchu was on vacation, so he would go to the Municipal Public Security Bureau with his mother. When Jiang Shaowei saw Chin Chu, she deliberately teased her son. Yunchu, look, isn't that your father-in-law? Wei Yunchu smiled shyly and didn't refute. Then she ran over to greet Chin Chu warmly, unlike her usual aloof self. Ho, Uncle Chin. Yunchu is here too. Chin Chu dotingly patted the kid's head. Why are you at the Municipal Public Security Bureau? Jiang Shaowei was a little surprised. Chin Chu didn't seem like a very free person, so he naturally wouldn't go to the Municipal Public Security Bureau. I have something important to talk to you and Gao Ran about. Okay, then let's go find him. Yunchu, wait for me in my office. I have something to discuss with Uncle Chin. Okay. Wei Yunchu was very obedient. He listened to his mother and went back to his mother's office. Meanwhile, Chin Chu and Jiang Shaowei arrived at Gao Ran's office. At this moment, Gao Ran was being reprimanded by his superior like a grandson. The hand that was holding the phone was trembling. Yes, 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 I understand, leader. I'll do it as soon as possible. Don't worry. I'll try to resolve it before the end of the year. I won't embarrass our city. After hanging up the phone, Gao Ran rolled his eyes. Fuck, you're just sitting in an office and you're giving orders. If you're so good, why don't you do it? I'm the one running to the front line all day. If serial killers were so easy to catch, wouldn't the streets be filled with heroes? What? I was scolded again. Why are you here? Only then did Gao Ran react. He glanced at Qin Chu and Jiang Shaowei. I have something important to announce. Qin Chu said. You're going to divorce Huamin? Gao Ran guessed. Divorce your ass. Qin Chu was speechless. Jiang Shaowei laughed. As far as I know, even if the earth exploded, Qin Chu wouldn't divorce Huamin. You're obviously asking for a beating. Then what are you so serious about? Gao Ran was curious. I'll show you a video. Qin Chu took out his cell phone and showed Gao Ran and Jiang Shaowei the video that he and Xiao Fei had cracked. After watching it, they were both dumbfounded. This? Jiang Shaowei didn't know what to say. Fuck, what the hell is this? It's too fast. That's sick. This is the psychopathic killer your city bureau has been looking for. Psychopathic killer? Who? Because the video was too fast, Gao Ran didn't see the killer's face clearly. So Qin Chu replayed it slowly. Then Gao Ran and Jiang Shaowei screamed at the same time. Was this Huamian? Chapter 43-54. Qin Chu was a straightforward person, so he told Gao Ran and Jiang Shaowei everything. He started from the trip to Yunnan. After hearing this, Gao Ran and Jiang Shaowei felt that their brain capacity wasn't enough. Fuck, my head hurts. I can't react. Can you not say it all at once? That's too much information, Gao Ran complained. Jiang Shaowei was much calmer. She pondered over Qin Chu's words and thought about the cause and effect. Then she slapped her forehead. That makes sense. I was wondering why Mian has been acting weird recently. She's not enthusiastic when she sees me and Lingling, and her taste has changed a lot. That day when she came to my office, she was very resistant to hypnosis. So she's not Mian anymore. Yeah, she should be called a psychopathic killer now. Qin Chu nodded. Fuck this bitch. I have to arrest her immediately and give an explanation to the victim's family as well as our leader. I've been going crazy because of her. Do you know how many people have died here recently? I don't even dare to report it truthfully. I'm afraid that if I report it, I'll be fired, but our higher-ups, the mayor and the governor, will all be finished. Gao Ran had never seen a case where so many people had died in such a short period of time. In order to avoid causing panic among the public, the municipal bureau didn't dare to make it public. Now that he heard that the murderer was a woman, Gao Ran felt like 10,000 alpacas were running around in his heart. You won't be able to catch her, Qin Chu said. Why? I don't believe that it won't be easy to catch her if I send 100 special police officers. Gao Ran was obviously unconvinced. Jiang Shaowei glanced at him and explained helplessly, Chief Gao, didn't you hear what Qin Chu just said? This woman isn't human. She has special abilities. Didn't you see how fast she is in the video? I think you might not be able to catch her even if you sent 500 people, let alone 100 people. What do you mean? So there's nothing we can do. We can only passively wait to be slaughtered by that monster? Gao Ran was full of resentment towards this female killer. Of course not. I've temporarily controlled her and she can't harm anyone during this period of time. That's great. Give her to me. I have to bring her back. I can't give her to you. Qin Chu glanced at Gao Ran. Fuck Chu, don't tell me you're going to go against me. A life for a life. This woman has harmed so many people. Shouldn't she be sentenced to death? Gao Ran was a little agitated when he saw that Qin Chu wasn't willing to give her to him. She's the only clue that can lead us to Mian. Moreover, she's just a small character. Behind her, there's a big boss. After hearing Qin Chu's words, the two fell silent again. This woman was already sick enough. She killed people as soon as she attacked, but Qin Chu still said that she was a small character. Then how powerful was the boss behind her? It was unimaginable. At this point, Qin Chu stopped beating around the bush. He felt that the time was right, so he began to briefly talk about Huamin's mother, Linya. On the other hand, Suyu felt a lot more relaxed recently. It was also because he hadn't contacted Huamin for a few days. In his office, he turned on his phone and found Huamin's WeChat. He saw her WeChat moments and found that there were no updates. He sent a WeChat message tentatively, "Mion, are you there?" He waited for a long time but there was no reply. Chapter 43:55. At this moment An ran into the room in a panic. "President Sue, something bad happened." "What's wrong?" Sue looked at An anxiously. Fin said something bad happened, it meant something serious must have happened. After all, he wasn't a person who was easily alarmed. "Miss Han fainted on the set." "Where?" Hearing that Han Yueyao fainted, Suyu immediately stood up. She was in the studio on the 5th floor. She was supposed to shoot some magazine covers today, but she received an internal call saying she fainted. "Where's she?" "She was sent to the first hospital. They're trying to save her. We don't know what happened yet." "I'll go and see." Unable to sit still, Suyu hurried downstairs and went to the first hospital with Han Yueyao's fainting shocked everyone in Imperial Star. After all, she was a popular female star and was called the most promising female star in Imperial Star's history by many media outlets. When Suyu arrived at the hospital, the doctor had just come out of the emergency room. "How is she?" "President Sue, Miss Han is fine. She just fainted because of a strong shock. We gave her an 4 drip. If she's fine, she'll wake up in a while." "I'll go in and see." Today, Suyu was wearing a cream-colored sweater with a large Medusa snake head on his chest. It was indeed his favorite Versace. He wore a pair of dark-colored jeans and didn't look like the president of a listed company. When Suyu entered, Han Yueyao had already woken up. She looked at the ceiling and tears streamed down her face silently. Suyu walked over calmly and took out a tissue to wipe her tears. Han Yueyao's eyes moved. She didn't react until she saw Suyu. "President Sue," she said in a sobbing voice. "What's wrong? What happened?" Suyu tried to make his voice gentle and didn't tease her as he usually did. "Lin Heng is dead." Then Han Yueyao began to cry again. The delicate makeup she had put on for the photoshoot was all ruined by her tears. Her eyeliner was black and she looked pathetic. "Lin Heng? Oh, I remember now. Isn't the guy that Xiao Xiao like sick in the hospital?" Suyu vaguely remembered that a while ago Han Yueyao had hurriedly borrowed money from him to treat this patient. "He's dead. I just got the news that he died at Southside. Critically ill?" "So, no, he was hacked to death. He did it because he was trying to save me. Otherwise, he wouldn't have ended up like this." Han Yueyao's words were intermittent and she was out of breath from crying. Suyu didn't really understand either. She took out tissues and wiped her tears with them. "Don't cry. Speak slowly. I'm here." Suyu felt really uncomfortable when he saw the little girl crying like this. He was used to seeing her as carefree as a gamecock. Suddenly seeing her so sad, he really didn't know how to describe his feelings. "There's a local gangster named Wang Kuan. He kidnapped me in the middle of the night 2 days ago and tried to rape me. When Lin Heng's men saw it, they told Lin Heng that he went to Wang Kuan's house to save me despite his serious illness. He also kidnapped Wang Kuan's wife and child, but he didn't hurt them. After Wang Kuan released me, he ordered his men to release the mother and son. I thought that was the end of the matter. But when I was filming, I received a call, saying that Wang Kuan's men rushed into the hospital in the wee hours of the morning and killed Lin Heng. After the incident, the doctors tried to save him until just now when they called me and said that he was gone." Finally, she finished her story in tears. Suyu was silent. He didn't know Lin Heng well, but it was almost the new year. It was tragic that he was hacked to death in the hospital. Chapter 43:56. Suyu's expression changed drastically. "He's so arrogant. He dared to come to the hospital and kill someone. How dare he?" Han Yueyao was agitated. She had been grieving over the fact that Lin Heng was in critical condition. She had planned to visit him at the hospital today and talk to him. But all of a sudden he was gone just like that. She couldn't accept this situation. So when she cried her heart out, she grabbed Suyu's hand. "See, I beg you, avenge Lin Heng. You must avenge Lin Heng. Kill that bastard scum of society." Han Yueyao hated him to the extreme. She just didn't understand how there could be such a cruel person in the world. "I understand. Leave it to me." Suyu patted Han Yueyao's back and comforted her softly. As they spoke, the door was pushed open. Suyu and Han Yueyao turned around abruptly. When they saw who it was, they were slightly stunned. "Xiao Xiao, why are you back?" Suyu was surprised to see Su Xiaoxiao. Su Xiaoxiao was dressed casually. She was wearing a long black down jacket, a classic masterpiece of a luxury brand. She was wearing white snowshoes and a black woolen hat. She had an extremely exquisite face. I just came from South Side to help Brother Lin deal with some funeral matters. Su Xiaoxiao seemed to be very calm. Compared to Han Yueyao's crying, she was exceptionally calm. Xiaoxiao, when did you come back? Han Yueyao wiped her tears and slowly stood up. I just arrived this morning. You know about it. Han Yueyao looked at Su Xiaoxiao with red eyes. I know. Oh. You've done enough for Brother Lin. He'll understand. Su Xiaoxiao walked over, took off her gloves and held Han Yueyao's hand. I'm sorry. I didn't protect him well. I really didn't expect. And Wang Kun did attack him because of me. Han Yueyao cried even harder. She blamed herself. She always felt that if she hadn't been caught by that old bastard Wang Kun, Lin Heng would have saved her and her son. If Lin Heng went to save her and captured Wang Kun's concubine and son, Wang Kun wouldn't target him and take revenge. She had thought that Su Xiaoxiao would blame her. But she didn't. Although Su Xiaoxiao was usually unreasonable and domineering, she didn't. But when it really mattered, he was very sensible and knew how to look at the big picture. She sat down quietly beside Han Yueyao and said, Yao, let me tell you this. If it weren't for this incident, Big Brother Lin wouldn't have lived for long. You should know that his attending doctor has given him an ultimatum. He just left a little earlier. But with his illness, he'll suffer if he continues to be in a deadlock. It's good that he's gone. I hope he can be reincarnated into a good family. Xiaoxiao. Han Yueyao's voice was choked with tears. You're too tired. Lie down and rest first. I'll have a few words with my uncle. It just so happens that I want to buy a cemetery for Brother Lin in the North Mountain to be buried. All right. Seeing that Su Xiaoxiao had something to say to Su Yu, Han Yueyao nodded. Then she lay back on the bed and continued the drip quietly. Su Yu and Su Xiaoxiao walked out of the ward and walked to a quiet corner of the corridor. Uncle, do you have cigarettes? Yes. Su Yu took out a box of Japanese 7-star cigarettes from his pocket. The packaging was blue and very beautiful. Su Xiaoxiao took out one and held it in her mouth skillfully. You didn't ask me out to talk about the cemetery, right? Su Yu looked at Su Xiaoxiao. You know me well. Su Xiaoxiao smiled, but her smile was obviously strange. Xiaoxiao, what do you want to do about this? Su Yu knew that Xiaoxiao had always liked the boy surnamed Lin. Chapter 4357. What else can we do? Su Xiaoxiao took a big puff of her cigarette and coughed. Then he coughed a few times. Cough, cough, cough. Kill them. Kill them all. Let them be buried with my brother Lin. Su Xiaoxiao casually said such a vicious sentence. Su was a little nervous. He knew that this girl was capable of doing anything. Xiaoxiao, it's the end of the year and the situation is tense. Many people have died here recently. I'll find evidence and let the police arrest Wang Kun and those who did it. Don't worry, I won't let anyone know. To his surprise, Su Xiaoxiao glanced at Su Yu and pursed her lips. That old thing is old. What can he do if he goes to prison? Even if he's shot 100 times, he won't be able to save Brother Lin's life. Su Yu noticed that Xiaoxiao's eyes were red when she said that. Yes, it was abnormal for her to be so quiet. Xiaoxiao, don't do anything rash. The higher-ups are very nervous now. As children of high-ranking officials, we can't bring shame to our families. Oh, it won't happen. It won't involve the family at all. Uncle, don't interfere in this matter. Leave it to me. Xiaoxiao. Su Yu wanted to persuade her, but Su Xiaoxiao threw the cigarette butt on the ground, stomped on it and left the hospital. Su Yu shook his head helplessly. That night, no one in Wang Kun's mansion survived. 18 of his men died and Wang Kun died in a horrible way. At the same time, his concubine and son also died mysteriously. In the end, the police only thought that it was a gangster's revenge. After all, they had no clues. Only Su Yu and Han Yueyao knew that Su Xiaoxiao had offered a huge reward of 15 million yuan on the dark web. That night, 2 Vietnamese killers took the job and entered the country to kill. They were straightforward and left no traces. Han Yueyao was sick for 3 days. On the 4th day, she attended Lin Heng's funeral with the help of her agent and Su Xiaoxiao. On the day of her return, Han Yueyao's eyes were red from crying. She said to Lin Heng's close friends, Brother Lin is gone. Brother Lin is no longer around. In the future, if you have any difficulties you can contact me directly. Thank you, Miss Han, but we're planning to go abroad. Go abroad? And we'll find a job as a sailor. We'll go out on a cruise ship and visit many countries. The salary is pretty good. After Brother Lin passed away, the few of us couldn't sleep at all. We miss him too much. If this goes on, we won't be able to take it anymore. That's why we want to leave this place temporarily. It's good too. Anyway, call me if you need anything. All right. Su Xiaoxiao left by plane that night and returned to the army. Then it was very quiet. There was no call or WeChat. Han Yueyao knew she was sad, but she couldn't say it. To take care of her, Suyu gave her a week off to adjust her mood. After finishing all this, Suyu remembered that there was still one important thing he had to do. He drove straight to South Hill Manor. However, she found that only Qin Chu was at home. He was sitting alone in the living room eating dinner all alone. Even though the table was filled with delicacies, there was no trace of happiness in him. Why are you eating alone? I'm the only one here, Qin Chu said. Where's Mion? By the way, I came here today to ask you where she went. She didn't reply to my WeChat messages and didn't answer my calls. Suyu sat beside Qin Chu anxiously. His intuition told him that something had happened to the couple. Have some with me. Qin Chu handed Suyu a pair of chopsticks but didn't answer his question immediately. Are you two really going to divorce? What happened? Can you tell me the truth today? Suyu wasn't in the mood to eat. Qin Chu looked like he was about to die from anxiety. Chapter 43-58. Let's eat first, Qin Chu repeated. Suyu thought, fuck. In the end, Suyu couldn't argue with Qin Chu, so he obediently picked up his chopsticks and started eating. Qin Chu pointed at the crabs with his chopsticks. Do you know what Mion likes to eat the most? Yeah, the whole world knows that she likes seafood, especially crabs. Suyu smiled. He remembered how cute Mion used to sit there and nibble on crabs every time he asked her out for dinner. But she doesn't like to eat anymore. Do you know why? Qin Chu tilted his head and looked at Suyu, his expression calm. As her tastes have changed. I think it's because this incident hurt her too much, so she's under too much pressure and no longer in the mood to eat. Suyu never thought that Huamin's sudden dislike of seafood was abnormal. Instead, he even tried to explain it for him. No, it's because she's not Mion at all. Qin Chu said such a huge amount of information without any warning. Suyu almost went crazy when he heard this. He almost spat out the tea in his mouth. What did you just say? Suyu asked again, unsure. I don't repeat myself. Qin Chu gave him a proud expression. Suyu wasn't deaf, so there was no way he didn't hear it. Qin Chu didn't bother to reply to him with the same words. Really? Suyu was shocked. When did I lie? Qin Chu glared at him. But, how is that possible? Suyu still felt that this incident was a bit too ridiculous. Qin Chu then told Suyu the main point of the incident. It was reasonable. After hearing what Qin Chu said, Suyu indeed felt that there were many things wrong with Mion after she returned from Yunnan. So it was actually a trick to swap the crown prince. Suyu was dumbfounded as he looked at Qin Chu. Old Qin, so, you mean, since the explosion in Yunnan? Mion has already been swapped. That's right. Qin Chu nodded. Layla didn't die in such a huge explosion? Suyu couldn't accept it. After all, Hua Xiqian sacrificed his life in exchange for it was a super bomb made by Huamin himself. So many people present were blown to pieces. Hua Xiqian was the closest to Layla. Even Hua Xiqian was blown to ashes, but Layla was fine. She even pretended to be Huamin. So, Layla looks exactly like Mion? Suyu felt a chill run down his spine again. In Yunnan, he was the only one who didn't know Layla's true appearance. Huamin and Hua Xiqian both knew and had seen her before. In fact, Suyu had seen her before, but he thought it was just a dream. Now that he thought about it, it might not have been a dream. He only found out now that Layla looked exactly like Huamin. How slow was he to realize it? Yes. Qin Chu confirmed his words. I can't take it anymore. This is too much information. Suyu put down his chopsticks and stood up, dumbfounded. Then he suddenly thought of a very, very important question. Layla didn't die in the explosion, so her identity is an American agent? She's a super-evolved high-level clone, Qin Chu answered. Suyu, stop fooling around, old Qin. Do you think you're playing Resident Evil with us? Siyu thought that Chinchu was joking. However, Chinchu had always joked with people other than Huamin. Layla is indeed a super evolved high-level clone. She has many special abilities that are beyond ordinary people. Speed is one of them. She can be as fast as a beam of light, Chinchu continued. Suyu. Chapter 4359. What Chinchu said had completely exceeded Suyu's imagination. After all, he had been a special forces soldier. He really couldn't believe what Chinchu said. After all, Suyu was an atheist. He had always believed in science. However, Layla was indeed a product of a perverted scientist. She was a genetically modified product of an advanced human civilization. On top of Huamin's original genes, he added too many physical strengthening elements. Back then, Linya did miss her daughter, but after researching such a monster, she was enlightened and began to create an army of clones. Now she had turned the underwater palace into an underground kingdom. Moreover, it was a super secretive place that even the best detectors in various countries couldn't detect. Linya was indeed a genius, so was Professor Lu. So Huamin was, and so was Lu Yen, who had a quarter of Linya's genes. This whole family is almost become a ray of light. Are you sure you're not bragging? See for yourself. Chinchu threw out a video and placed his phone in front of Suyu. It was the video taken at the villa in the suburbs and decrypted by Chinchu and Xiao Fei. After watching it, Suyu's understanding of the world was refreshed again. Fuck. Even our company's special effects can't be this good. This woman is a monster. She's a monster, Chinchu agreed. Then the most important question is, where is Mion? Only then did Suyu realize how serious the situation was. A fake perverted Mion had lived here for so long. She had committed crimes and caused trouble for all her family and friends. Then where was the real Mion? Where did that high-end, classy, calm, witty and sophisticated little girl go? She's at the headquarters of Layla's force. Layla has a force behind her? Suyu finally understood. Of course. Layla is just a small fry. The force behind her is the real schemer. Is it Ian? Suyu had heard of Ian. Even 100 Ians can't compare to him. Fuck, then we're done for. Ian is already so difficult to deal with, let alone such a powerful person. What should we do? I should go home and talk to Grandpa to see if we can send a few special forces soldiers over. And get some heavy weapons. Suyu paced around anxiously. Don't bother, Lord Su. Ordinary people will die if they go, even special forces soldiers. See, this time, I want you to help me save Mion. Of course, Mion is also my friend. I have to save her. Suyu patted his chest and promised. His meaning was very clear. No matter what difficulties or obstacles they faced, Huamin must be saved. On this point, Chinchu and Suyu reached an agreement. I have a way to find Mion's location, but I have a feeling that the master behind them is watching me, so I don't dare to act rashly. But you're different. If you charter a plane in the name of traveling, no one will suspect you. So, after I find the location, you can go and confirm it first. That's a good idea. I like it. Suyu agreed. But Suyu, you have to remember that after you find the place, you can't act rashly. You have to observe the surrounding environment and the geographical location. After you get some accurate information, report it to me. Then I'll think of a way to save her in time. In other words, before I get there, you can't alert them. You can't deal with them alone, Chinchu reminded him again and again. No problem, I can do that. But what about that psycho? I think we should kill her now to vent our anger. Suyu was referring to Layla. Chapter 4360. Chinchu looked up at Suyu. Do you think I don't want to? Suyu, if I could kill her, I wouldn't need you to tell me. Only then did Suyu catch the main point of Chinchu's sentence. Couldn't kill her? No way. You mean that psycho can't be killed? Of course. She's already killed so many people and is running amok in this city. If I didn't know that she's capable, do you think I would have obediently put her under house arrest and not let her go to prison to await trial? You put her under house arrest. Yes. Then she obediently let you put her under house arrest? That doesn't make sense. Suyu was dumbfounded. She didn't obediently let me put her under house arrest. The video you just watched was taken while she was under house arrest. She went out to kill people or forage for food. Suyu, forage for food. If it weren't for her special identity, I would have handed her over to Gao Rant's bureau. Do you think I want to keep such a ticking time bomb? So now that she's locked up, it's like she's not locked up. No, now that I have a helper, she won't dare to act rashly. Suyu didn't ask further about Chinchu's helper. He knew that with Chinchu's personality he would definitely say what he needed to say. Then Chinchu briefly explained Huamin's background. At least he wanted Suyu to know who their enemy was. As expected, Suyu's worldview was refreshed once again. A biological mother had attacked her own daughter. Perhaps only Linya could do such a cruel thing in the world. Before he left, Suyu lamented, "Are all top geniuses crazy? Are they so obsessed that they don't even recognize their own family?" Chinchu didn't answer because it wasn't absolute. Chinchu believed that Linya was just an example. He actually thought that if he had the chance to meet Linya, he would also want to ask her. Why was he so cruel to Mion? As long as Mion didn't come back, Chinchu would feel uneasy. Although his conversation with Suyu took place in South Hill Manor, Chinchu used a high-precision device to block it. He knew that if these words were leaked out, it would be disastrous. Not only him but Suyu's life would also be in danger. After Suyu learned the truth, his mood was extremely complicated. When he returned to the private villa, he saw En cooking. It was rare for En Yi to cook, so Suyu was quite surprised. "What day? Master En, you're actually cooking personally?" "President Su, please don't make fun of me. Have I not cooked enough for you over the years? How long has it been since you last did it? What's wrong with you today?" Suyu was puzzled. "Because today is the anniversary of our first meeting," and said innocently. Suyu was speechless. "Haha, I'm joking. Boss, don't look at me with that murderous gaze, okay? Did you buy all this food?" He looked at the packaging from the supermarket on the floor. There were also a lot of food, fruits, snacks, videos, beer and drinks. It was like a New Year's shopping spree. However, looking at such meticulous purchases, it didn't seem like Anne's careless personality. "I'm not that capable. Madam came by today." "My mom?" "Yeah, she saw that you weren't here, so she put down the things and left. She also asked me to tell you to spend more time with Miss Han when you're free. Miss Han hasn't been feeling well recently and has been going to the hospital." Suyu didn't answer Anne's words. Instead, he took out a can of beer from the bag. Then he opened it and took a big gulp. Thinking about what Chinchu had told him today, he still felt like he was in a dream. "Alright, President Su, I saw a post on Weibo today about Miss Han." "What post?" Suyu slumped onto the sofa with the beer in his hand, exhausted. Chapter 4361. The internet said that the man with the surname Lin who died a few days ago was Miss Han's boyfriend. Suyu, and it's reasonable. They showed the receipt of Miss Han's medical fees at the hospital. They also showed the photos of Miss Han visiting the hospital several times. In the end, they even took photos of Miss Han attending the funeral, Shaoan said. "Suyu, most importantly, Miss Han's condition has been bad recently. She suffered a huge blow. She looks very haggard, so the internet is saying that Miss Han and Mr. Lin were a couple for many years. Then, in order to become famous, Miss Han abandoned her boyfriend. Her boyfriend didn't give up and sold his kidney to his girlfriend to buy resources and trending topics, helping Miss Han become famous." "That's nonsense." Suyu was furious. "Yes, I know best how Miss Han became famous. I'm really angry. Those people are clearly trying to smear Miss Han's reputation, but the netizens don't understand the truth. Most of the netizens haven't left the scene resolutely. All of their opinions and departures were guided by the media. That article was so provocative that it made Miss Han out to be an ungrateful person. Now that Mr. Lin is dead and he doesn't have a family, even if he wants to clarify things, he can't find anyone. If this goes on, it's really bad for Miss Han." And wasn't a gossipy person. When he saw this article, it was because it had been reposted too many times. Then Han Yueyao became a trending topic a few times. And the trending topic was, Han Yueyao is ungrateful, Han Yueyao's boyfriend, Han Yueyao attends the funeral. All these negative things. Find out which media outlet did this. Lin Yiqian ordered. Suyu crushed the empty beer can in his hand. How dare they bully an artist from his company? They must be tired of living. "I found it. It's Fengyue Media." "Fengyue Media?" Suyu frowned slightly. "And you, and so did Suyu. Fengyue Media was a small media company that Nia Lingxian opened herself. Actually, rather than a company, it was more like a team. It was equivalent to the interest of a studio. Those people were responsible for helping Nia Lingxian maintain her image, official Weibo, and some social media software. They would also write some advertisements to promote her popularity. In short, when it was first established, Suyu even gave it a red packet. But now, he was shooting at his own people? This made Suyu a little unhappy. Seeing that Suyu didn't say anything and said carefully, "Mr. Su? Do you think Miss Nia is jealous and thinks there's something going on between you and Miss Han, so she—" "I don't think so. She's never done anything despicable to her competitors. I don't think she'd do anything to Han Yueyao. But it's from Fengyue Media. This article is going viral on Weibo. The number of reposts and readers is huge. If this continues, Miss Han's image will collapse. I'll ask her later." Suyu lowered his head. No one knew what he was thinking. Just as they finished talking, the doorbell rang, and was a little puzzled. Could it be that Madam is here again and wants to have dinner with you? And walked to the door of the villa and opened it. Then he was stunned. It was Han Yueyao. She looked haggard, wore no makeup, and had long hair. She was wearing a black leather jacket and a pair of black leggings. In her hand was a black LV suitcase. "Miss Han, you're—" and was confused. "Is President Su here?" Yes, and hurriedly invited Han Yueyao in. Chapter 4362. Suyu was surprised to see Han Yueyao. "Why are you here? Didn't I give you a day off?" Suyu stood up, a little worried. He thought Han Yueyao was affected by the negative news. "President Su, I'm here to say goodbye to you." Han Yueyao's voice was hoarse. It was obvious that she hadn't been living well these days. "Goodbye? Where are you going?" Suyu was puzzled. It wasn't the spring festival yet. Was she going home so early? Or was she going on a trip? Home. It's not the spring festival yet. I want to go back and spend more time with my parents. Why don't I book a plane ticket and a hotel for you? You can take your parents on a trip to the Maldives or Bali, to relax. Suyu knew that Han Yueyao had been blaming herself for Lin Heng's death and couldn't get over it. "No need. I just want to go home and stay quietly." "Okay. When are you leaving?" "I'll ask him to drive you to the airport." "I'll go to the airport in a while." "So soon?" Suyu froze again. No one could stop this girl's temper. "President, there's something else I want to talk to you about." "Okay." Every time Han Yueyao said these words so seriously, Suyu felt a little uncomfortable. He was still used to the days of arguing with her. And pricked up his ears. With his years of experience, he guessed that Han Yueyao was going to confess to Suyu openly. She wanted an answer. In fact, Suyu was also nervous. He was afraid that Han Yueyao would confess to him. That would be awkward. But this time both Suyu and An were wrong. Han Yueyao said calmly. She said, "President Su, I'm a little tired. I want to rest." "Okay, no problem. Didn't I give you a break?" Suyu didn't quite understand. I think I'm tired. I don't want to be a celebrity anymore." "This? What do you mean?" Suyu had a bad feeling about this. "President Su, I'm sorry. I'm so disappointing. I can't hold on any longer." Miss Han. And heard something and wanted to say something to dissuade her. But Han Yueyao interrupted him. "I wanted to debut myself. You've always helped me and supported me no matter what others said. So I'm really grateful to you for what I am today. Don't say such meaningless things. Get to the point." Suyu said word by word as he looked at her. "President, I want to leave the industry." "What? Miss Han, are you crazy? Do you know what your status is now? Do you know what the experts in the entertainment industry say about you? They say that you're the artist with the most potential and future since Imperial Star was founded, and the actress with the most commercial value and talent in acting." And was excited because a few days ago when he helped Suyu get the information, he accidentally flipped through it. Only then did he realize that many famous international brands were interested in hiring Han Yueyao as their spokesperson. There were cosmetics, clothes, jewelry, and watches. This was an honor that many celebrities couldn't achieve even after working for their entire lives. Han Yueyao had only achieved it in half a year. Now she wanted to leave the industry with just a few words. And felt that she was so stupid that she didn't even want money. Chapter 4363. I know. That's why I said I'm sorry, President Sue. President Sue, I don't want my salary. I've troubled you a lot recently. I don't want the car or anything that belongs to the company. But I might not be able to return the money you lent me because I used it to treat Lin Hang's illness. Sue didn't speak. He just sighed slightly and looked at her. Han Yueyao continued, if you want to sue me for breach of contract, I can. But you know I don't have much money. Even if I win the lawsuit, I might not be able to return the money. But if you're unwilling, I can go to jail for a few years. After all, I brought this upon myself. Han Yueyao bit her lip. She was a dancer and had been an artist for more than half a year. She didn't know much about the law. That was why she said such unprofessional words. Hearing this, Sue wanted to hit her. I said, are you done? Yes. In your mind, I'm that kind of person. I'll sue you and send you to jail if I don't get the money? Am I that bad? Sue didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Oh, okay. Stop talking nonsense. I'll take it that you're being impulsive. Want to go home? Okay, go back and rest. Come back whenever you want. Maybe you'll think it through after the new year when you're bored at home. I've thought about it for a long time. I'm not being impulsive. See, listen to me. Han Yueyao put down the luggage in her hand and looked at Suyu with a complicated expression. She couldn't describe her feelings. She felt guilty, self-reproach, aggrieved, and even sad. President Su, I didn't really like being a celebrity in the past. I told you before that I thought it was easy to make money in this industry, so I wanted my parents to live a better life. However, I was too naive. After all, my social experience was too shallow, so I didn't see the dark side of things. I've been in the company for so long, and I've been safe and sound all this time because you've secretly taken care of me. Otherwise, those directors, producers, and investors wouldn't have let me off so easily. I know all of that. Miss Han, you know President Su has done so much to promote you. Why are you giving up so easily? And looked a little exasperated. You might say that even if Brother Lin didn't save me, he would have died of illness. But I want to say that they're two different things. Dying of illness is still death, but Brother Lin was stabbed in the hospital. He doesn't have parents anymore. Now he has to die in such a tragic way. I can't take it anymore. You're not involved and will never know how much I've been carrying. President Su, I'm really tired. I think I finally understand that I'm just an ordinary woman. An ordinary woman. I don't want to pretend to be a superstar. Maybe I'm only fit to be an ordinary woman for the rest of my life. Then she looked at Suyu with tears in her eyes. At that moment, Suyu's feelings became even more complicated. He understood her words. To be honest, his heart ached for this little girl. Chapter 4364. President Su, and couldn't understand Han Yueyao's willfulness. Even the super-rich Suyu had to spend a lot of money to make a newcomer popular. Not to mention money, Suyu had never lacked it. However, Suyu had put in a lot of effort into networking and resources. Suyu didn't like Han Yueyao and had never accepted her confession. However, Suyu was sincere in helping her, whether it was because of her good character or because of Huamin. In short, Suyu had done more for Han Yueyao than she could see. But now, the girl suddenly said that she wanted to leave the industry, which made him feel bad. He felt that everything his boss had done was in vain. Hearing that and was about to speak, Suyu reached out and gestured to him. And immediately swallowed his words. Suyu walked over and looked at Han Yueyao. Although I can't empathize with what you're thinking, I understand. I really do. I respect your decision. I won't ask you to compensate me or sue you. I'll get the company to pay you tomorrow. I still have the same words, you're welcome to come back whenever you want. President Su. Han Yueyao's eyes were red. The entertainment industry is stressful to begin with. I know Lin Hang's death has changed your mentality a lot. These accidents are inevitable. Xiao Xiao has already avenged him. You should get over the trauma as soon as possible. Okay. Okay, I'll ask him to drive you to the airport. President Su. Can you drive me there? Han Yueyao asked Suyu to drive her. Suyu froze for a moment before nodding. Sure. Do you want to leave now or take a break and drink something? Is it too late? Suyu looked at his watch. Well, let's go now. Okay. Suyu nodded and put on the jacket on the sofa. President Su. Drive slowly. It's snowing today and the road is very slippery, and reminded worriedly. Well, if you're hungry at home, get yourself something to eat. Suyu reached out and snatched the luggage from her hand. Like a man, he helped him carry it, and the two of them left the house one after the other. And was filled with emotions. When they were far away and was still muttering in the living room, Miss Han is still a child. He's too capricious. President Su spent hundreds of millions on her and thought she'd be the queen of Imperial Star for the next 5 years. Unfortunately, this girl is really... Shaoan shook his head. Suyu probably didn't want to be so high profile and didn't want to be photographed by the media. Therefore he drove the Phaeton out of the garage, which he rarely drove. The Phaeton was really the most low-key luxury car. This was because the exterior of the car looked like a Volkswagen Speedster, magenta Passat that filled the streets. However, the interior decoration was extremely luxurious. This car was given to Suyu by someone in the past. In Suyu's own words, there was nothing wrong with his brain. How could he spend millions on such a car? But he didn't expect to use it today. After they got into the car, Suyu thought that Han Yueyao would sit in the passenger seat. But she didn't. She opened the back door and sat in the back seat. This way she would be able to distance herself from Suyu. Suyu still didn't say anything. After getting into the car, the two of them drove out of the neighborhood. Suyu's place wasn't far from the airport's highway, so they quickly got on the highway. After about 5 minutes of silence, Han Yueyao couldn't help but say, "President Su, if I leave this time and never come back, will you miss me?" Chapter 4365. Suyu held the steering wheel steadily and looked ahead. After about 10 seconds he answered. He smiled. "It's okay. It's not far away. When I miss you I can go to Jing City to find you. I'm not joking. I'm serious. See, I don't want to come back. There's nothing here for me to miss." Suyu was a little embarrassed. He wanted to say something to comfort her, but he didn't know what to say. Han Yueyao lowered her head and intertwined her hands. It was obvious that she was feeling very complicated. She seemed to be struggling internally. Perhaps he felt that if this continued, it would only be awkward, so Suyu played a song. It was really random. He had never driven this car before, so he didn't know what songs were on it. He had only borrowed it a few times from his friends, so he chose a random song. It was an old song, Li Zongxing's Obsessed. The old song and Li Zongxing's hoarse voice came from the stereo. "In this night, there was a sense of time travel. I once thought that life was like this. The calm heart refuses to have any more waves. The love thread that has been cut 1,000 times can't be broken after 100 twists and turns. It revolves around me. Someone asked me what's so good about you after so many years. I still can't forget, no matter how beautiful the spring breeze is. It can't compare to your smile. Those who haven't seen. You won't understand. It's good that I'm obsessed. It's good that I got married in my previous life." Suyu was very emotional when he heard this song. Once he was singing with a few rich second-generation airs. There was a man who sang this song. When he saw the lyrics, Suyu felt that this song was tailor-made for him. Wasn't that how he felt about Mion? He had indeed been obsessed with Huamin for many years. Han Yueyao seemed to know what Suyu was thinking. She slowly said, "President Su, when you fell in love with Sister Mion back then, didn't it feel magical and wonderful?" Suyu didn't avoid it and only smiled. "Yeah, I still remember that scene. Back then, Mion was just a doctor at Southside and I was hospitalized for a fracture." Han Yueyao continued, "It's said that the one who is loved is happy, but that's not the case. The one you love is also happy because there are many people in the world who haven't met someone they love to death. So you're lucky to have met Sister Mion." "Yeah, Mion has always been lucky. Suyu, do you know how much I envy you for being able to protect Sister Mion for the rest of your life? I even thought about protecting you for the rest of my life, just like how you protect Sister Mion." Han Yueyao said the blunt words calmly. Suyu froze for a moment and his heart seemed to beat faster. Then Han Yueyao continued, "Later I realized how overconfident I was. But you can protect Sister Mion because you have the capital and power. You can stand up for her at any time and do everything you can to help her. As for me, other than saying that I love you and want to protect you for the rest of my life, I'm fucking useless. I have no money, no background, no good father. I don't have a huge network. Even Lin's death was caused by Xiao Xiao. So Suyu, what right do I have to love and protect you?" Han Yueyao sat in the back seat with tears streaming down her face. Suyu didn't dare to look at her in the rearview mirror. From her voice he knew she was crying very, very hard. Chapter 4366. Yao Yao. Suyu rarely called her so intimately, afraid that she would misunderstand. But now Han Yueyao was crying so miserably. Even if Suyu had a heart of stone, he couldn't stand it anymore. He wanted to say something to comfort the crying girl. But Han Yueyao didn't give Suyu a chance. So you don't say anything. Listen to me. Okay, go ahead. Suyu lowered the volume of the stereo as he drove. Han Yueyao took a tissue and wiped her tears. She continued, I used to think that the female artists of Imperial Star were vulgar. Of all people, why did they like Suyu? Isn't he just rich? Is he a son of a high-ranking official? Does he like to show off and show off? Later I realized that I'm as shallow as them. I also fell in love with you who likes to show off. Of course, people who don't know you will only see the surface. Only after they really get to know you will they know how good you are. At first, I was quite impulsive and wanted to try if I could confess to you successfully. Although the probability was as ridiculous as winning the lottery, I still wanted to try. Later, I didn't say anything. I knew I couldn't say it. After seeing everything you did for Sister Mion bit by bit. After seeing everything she did for you, I suddenly felt that I didn't deserve you. I didn't deserve to like you. It has nothing to do with family background or money. It's just that you're good. Sometimes I think that if President Qin didn't exist before, Sister Mion would definitely accept your love. Unfortunately, there are no ifs in life. Suyu smiled bitterly. He had long stopped asking for Mion's response. He only wanted Mion to be safe for the rest of her life. It wasn't that he was magnanimous, but he sincerely hoped that she could live peacefully in his sight. Being good friends for life was also a very happy thing. Yeah, there are no ifs in life. If I hadn't come to this city, if I hadn't met Xiao Xiao and Big Brother Lin, none of this would have happened. If I hadn't entered your company, I wouldn't have become a celebrity. If I hadn't met you, I wouldn't have fallen deeply in love with you. But to me, all of these are precious memories. Really, Suyu, I think I won't forget you, never. But I really won't step foot on this land again. You are too tired, Yao, you should rest well. She wanted to say something but found they had arrived at the airport. She suddenly realized that the time she spent with Suyu was always so short. We're here. Suyu parked the car. All right. She got out of the car with her simple luggage. Suyu followed her but was stopped by Han Yueyao. You can go back. I'll escort you through the security check. It's okay. I'll leave by myself. Don't send me off. Please don't. She didn't like parting scenes, so she refused Suyu's escort. Seeing Han Yueyao insist, Suyu didn't force her. Okay then. Take care. Call me if you need anything. If you think it through and want to come back, call me too. Imperial Star isn't a kindergarten, but you're welcome at any time. Suyu's half-joking words lifted Han Yueyao's mood. She smiled, pursed her lips and said shyly, Suyu, I want to hug you. She thought Suyu would refuse, but as soon as she finished speaking, she felt a warm figure pouncing on her and hugging her tightly. At that moment, Han Yueyao was so touched that she wanted to cry. It turned out that being hugged by the person she liked was such a happy thing. Chapter 4367. It didn't matter if it was Han Yueyao or Suyu. Neither of them expected that this would be the last time they would meet. They would never have such a chance again. Fate was sometimes something that could be said to be deep or shallow. It came and went quickly. Hearing Han Yueyao's words, Suyu turned around and walked out of the airport. Han Yueyao carried her luggage and walked towards the door with tears in her eyes. She didn't wear a mask, didn't have an assistant or agent. From now on, there was no more superstar Han Yueyao, only dance teacher Han Yueyao. After returning to Jing City, Han Yueyao had decided to find a dance school and become a teacher. She wanted to live an ordinary life and be an ordinary person. After Suyu left the airport, he didn't leave. Instead, he sat in the car. He didn't say anything and just stared blankly for a while until Han Yueyao's plane flew across the sky. Suyu was actually a very smart person. He knew who liked him and could tell. He had long known Han Yueyao's feelings for him, but he pretended not to know. He also knew that if he asked her to stay and agreed to be with Han Yueyao, the girl wouldn't leave. This young lady must not leave. Perhaps the two of them could even have a flash marriage or something. But this wasn't Suyu's style. I don't love you, so I definitely won't hold you back or drag you down. The older he got, the more he understood the true meaning of love. When Suyu looked at Han Yueyao, he only felt that the girl was lively and cute, but he didn't feel his heart racing or his body electrified. But if he took out Huamin's photo, he would immediately feel different. Therefore, he decided to follow his heart. Since he had been willful all these years, he might as well be willful to the end. After the plane left, Suyu drove back to the mansion, and even made some frozen dumplings for supper. "Boss, you're back. I just cooked the dumplings. I'm not eating." Suyu was a little listless. He took off his jacket and fell onto the sofa. "What's wrong? Did your heart become empty after Big Yao Yao left?" And smiled cheekily. Suyu raised his hand and thought that his boss was going to hit him. In the end, she found that he only reached out and touched the back of his head. "He's already gone. Stop spreading rumors." "Boss, Big Yao Yao is so nice. Why didn't you say yes to her? Even an idiot like me can tell that she asked you to send her to the airport to create a chance between the two of you. You actually sent her away. Are you really that stupid or just pretending to be stupid?" Shoo, don't talk nonsense." "I'm not talking nonsense. Seriously, Yao Yao is really good. Even if she doesn't want to be a celebrity and feels pressured, you can keep her and let her work behind the scenes. Even if she doesn't do anything, you can support her. I see that Madam likes her a lot. I'm still hoping that the two of you can have some chemistry. I was thinking that I could hold a grandson or something soon. Look at you. Didn't you completely mess it up? She's already back in her hometown. How can you still flirt with her?" At this time, Shaoan was like Tang Sanzang nagging Suyu. "Chemistry? Stop nagging. He's gone. Besides, it's good that she's gone. How can I keep her? I might not give her happiness. You have money, status, and looks. If you can't give her happiness, who else can? Who else is qualified to give her happiness?" Shaoan's words were really the rhythm of flattery. Chapter 4368. I might have to go on a long trip soon. Suyu didn't want to continue discussing Han Yueyao with him, so he suddenly said that he was going out. "Where are you going?" "I don't know where exactly." Suyu thought that Qin Chu hadn't told him the location. But you're going with me. I don't trust anyone else, okay?" And made an okay gesture. "Don't tell my mom," Suyu reminded him again. "I understand." After Han Yueyao left, Suyu was a little disappointed, not because of anything else but because it was a pity. Han Yueyao was a talented actress and was very popular. Now that she was leaving, the penalty alone would be astronomical. But Suyu didn't say this. Han Yueyao had made a lot of money for the company during this time. The next morning, he went to the company and ordered the finance department to prepare Han Yueyao's report. 10 a.m. The finance director personally brought Han Yueyao's financial situation to the office. "President Yu, Han Yueyao has made 150 million yuan for the company in the past 6 months. But if she leaves the entertainment industry now, she'll have to pay 80 million yuan for the penalty alone." "Isn't there still 70 million yuan left?" Suyu said. "But our company invested 68 million yuan just to promote her." Suyu was speechless. "So there's only 2 million yuan left. The 2 million yuan doesn't include the salary of her team. Normally, her team, agent, and assistant should be paid by her, not our company. Forget it. Let's not argue about this. How about this, Zhu? Find Han Yueyao's bank card and transfer 5 million yuan to her." 5 million yuan? Isn't it 2 million yuan? The finance director thought he had heard wrong. "I don't want to calculate the details with her. She has done a lot for the company in the past 6 months. Consider it a personal gift from me. After you transfer the money, tell her that this is the remaining money after the company's settlement. Okay?" The finance director sincerely thought that President Su was a good person. They had never docked any employee's salary, not even Jian Tong or Mo Shui. Even when he fell out with him, he did not deliberately pick a fight with him over money. There were not many bosses like him. President Su Han Yueyao left just like that. Who's going to support Imperial Star now? Although she was in charge of finance, she was still quite worried when she saw such a money tree leave. Didn't little Nya come back? Tell the public relations department. From today onwards, we'll do everything we can to promote little Nya's comeback. All right. GK headquarters. 3 days later, Qin Chu received a call from Shaoling and drove to Shaoling and her mother-in-law's residence. After entering the house, she found that the room was a little dark and the curtains were closed. Big brother Chinchu, don't be afraid. My grandma is doing a ritual. Chinchu sat quietly on the side. Granny was still wearing shabby clothes and her hair was white. First she placed a doll on the table. Then it began to mumble some unknown incantation. Then Granny bit her middle finger and ring finger and dripped the blood on the doll. Then she began to mumble another incantation. Then a magical scene appeared. White smoke began to emit from the doll's body as if it was about to catch fire. Big brother Chinchu, this is a ritual made from the things on the monster's body. My grandma has been drawing charms inside and outside the doll's stomach for 2 or 3 days. Now we can control her. After Xiaoling said this, Chinchu immediately took out his phone and looked at the surveillance footage of the villa from afar. Layla was lying in the living room rolling on the ground and howling. White smoke was faintly coming out of her stomach. Chapter 4369. At that moment, Chinchu felt a chill run down his spine. Witchcraft was so powerful, she could remotely control the person she wanted to control. After watching Granny do the same thing, she tapped lightly. The doll stopped moving. Is she dead? Chinchu stood up anxiously. No, she's just in a deep coma because of my spell. She lost consciousness. In this case, she can't go out and harm people for the time being. No matter how capable she is, how fast she is, or how much strength she has, she can only sleep quietly like a living dead. That's great. Chinchu seemed to finally be relieved. Then he sent a WeChat message to Gao Ran. Old Gao, Layla is under my control. You don't have to worry about murder cases for now. Old Tai, it's safe. I finally don't have to work overtime tonight. Gao Ran was naturally very grateful. Then Granny stood up looking a little haggard. Granny, are you okay? Every time my grandma casts a spell, she'll be exhausted. She'll be fine after some rest, Ling said and poured a cup of tea for her grandma. The old lady sat beside Chinchu. Little Chin, I'm going to give you the same heart voodoo later and help you find your wife. Thank you for your hard work, Granny. Chinchu was very grateful for Granny's help. You don't have to be so polite with me. There are just a few things that I have to tell you in advance. The same heart voodoo is very domineering. When it swims in your body, it will hurt so much that it corrodes your heart and bones. You might have to suffer some physical pain. That's not a problem, Granny, do as you please, Chinchu said firmly. To him, not to mention enduring a bit of pain even if it took his life, he was willing to do so. As long as Mion could come back. Granny nodded and continued, there's also one more thing. Once the same heart voodoo is used, your lives will be connected. If you die, she dies. If you live, she lives. Chinchu did not expect this result. All he wanted was for Mion to live well. If they were connected, what if something happened to him in the future? The more Chinchu thought about it, the more confused he became. Granny continued. So you have to think it through. Grandma, is there any other way? Chinchu asked her. What do you mean? It's the kind of method where my wife can continue to live after I die. I don't want her to take any risks. Chinchu spoke his mind. No, this is the only way. All right. Chinchu nodded. Granny continued. Forgive me for being presumptuous, but all these years, was your wife your only woman? Was she the only one who had intimate contact with him? Grandma's question was vague, but Chinchu was smart enough to understand it. Granny, I only have one woman, my wife. I've only touched her. And then that's easy. You don't have to be afraid. After you find your wife, both of you will bite your fingers and drink the blood in each other's body. The parasite will naturally crawl out. That's the way to cure the parasite poison. You must remember that. Yes, I'll remember it, Grandma. Very good. Let's begin. The old lady finished the tea in her bowl and stood up slightly. Grandma, you must be tired from casting the spell. You should rest more. Chinchu couldn't bear to torture the old lady. It's fine. Come on. I also hope you can find your wife quickly. Chinchu nodded gratefully. Ling, bring me the world map. I want to do an accurate location analysis, Granny ordered. Yes, Grandma. Chapter 4370. On the other side of the earth, in the underwater palace. The baby was due, but it was still motionless. This made Huamin restless. She was under house arrest in the White Room, and her mood was extremely irritable. I want to see Linya. Huamian ran to the door, opened the door and said to the expressionless maid in a white dress, "I'm sorry. I want to see Linya." "Did you hear me?" Huamin shouted. At this moment Messiah walked over. "Miss Mian, what's wrong?" "Messiah. I'm due but the baby isn't moving in my stomach. I'm a little scared. Is the baby in danger?" It was said that pregnant women were emotional and sensitive. Huamin was an authoritative doctor in the gynecology and obstetrics department. He often saw children who were due later than expected. The longest time was when a woman was 15 days pregnant. It was all normal. Natural childbirth was like a ripe melon falling off. Waiting for the baby to move, the water would either break or bleed. These weren't big problems, but when it was his turn he would panic. Huamin had forgotten that he was a doctor and had learned obstetrics. "Miss Mian, don't worry. How about this, if you trust me? I'll take you to do an ultrasound, okay?" "Ultrasound? Do you have one here?" Huamin was surprised. After being here for so long, Linya had never taken her to do an ultrasound. "Yes, we do." Messiah didn't seem to want to say too much. She only asked Huamin if he was willing to go. "Then I'll go with you. I want to see if the baby is okay." "How many days has it been, Miss Mian?" "Including today, it's been 12 days. Huamin frowned slightly. 12 days. It's been a long time. "Don't worry, follow me." Messiah gently comforted Huamian. She supported her and led her through the long corridor to a spacious room. Huamin was surprised to find that the tunnel was always changing. Every time they walked it was different. Although they all looked the same, the destination was different. Some went to the main hall, Linya's room, and the place where he had dinner with Xiao Yan and his father that day. Huamin had such a good memory, but he still got lost here. She knew that there was something strange going on. However, Huamin didn't ask further. Even if he did, Messiah wouldn't say much. Huamin was surprised when he entered the room. It was like a complete obstetrics clinic with all kinds of equipment. And they were all the most advanced. There were a few pieces of equipment that she had only seen in photos. They were all medical equipment with sky-high prices. She heard that they were newly developed this year. But Linya actually had both. "Messiah, why is Linya doing this? Is there a pregnant woman here?" Huamian curiously touched the equipment she was familiar with. But Messiah only casually denied it. She was still unwilling to say more about too many things. "Miss Mian, please lie down. I'll make it for you. I'll do it myself." Although Huamin knew that Messiah had never hurt him, he was still worried and wanted to do the scan himself. Then he would print out the results. "Sure." Messiah smiled and turned on the ultrasound machine. He handed it to Huamin. This was probably the most advanced ultrasound machine. There was no need to apply that cold ointment. It used a round disc in the shape of a shower head to slowly swim against her stomach. It was like a suction cup. Huamin let go of his hand. The thing slowly swam around on its own. It was very magical. Suddenly, the little guy in her stomach moved. Chapter 4371. "Oh, you scared me." Huamin was a little nervous. The little guy must have heard the noise and was woken up. Messiah said with a smile. Huamin heaved a sigh of relief when he saw that the baby was fine. "He fell asleep just now. Look at how cute he is. Can you see what he looks like?" Huamin was pleasantly surprised. "Yes, this color ultrasound is combined with the four-dimensional camera. I can clearly see the baby's appearance." "Does he have an umbilical cord around his neck?" Huamin was a little worried. "Not at all. He's very smart. He protects himself very well." Huamin smiled. "I'll print it out for you." "Okay, and the photo. I want to see it too." When Messiah showed Huamin the photo of the little guy's brain, tears welled up in her eyes. "He's so ugly." Huamin was actually very happy and sweet. "How is he ugly?" "He's very beautiful. He looks a little like you. He's ugly if he looks like me. How nice would it be if he looked like Dad?" Huamin sighed. "But didn't they say that daughters look like their fathers and sons look like their mothers?" "Yes, that's the case in China." Huamin looked at the photo and held it carefully as if it was his treasure. "Miss Mian, don't worry now. Let's go out. There's radiation here. I'm afraid it's not good for the baby." Messiah accompanied Mian back to the room. There was no night or day here. Ever since Huamin came, he had never gone out and seen the sun. Fortunately, there was a clock in the room so he could tell the time and calculate the time. On the way back, Messiah helped Huamian to the door. He saw Linya standing there. She was wearing a white crystal dress. She was always as beautiful as a goddess, so distant. Master. Messiah hurriedly bowed. Huamian looked at her warily. Where did you go? Linya smiled fakely. Master, it's Miss Mion. Messiah wanted to explain, but before she could finish, a slap landed on her face. This was the first time Huamian had seen Linya fight. He was very fast, just like Layla. Before he could see clearly, there were 2 palm prints on Messiah's face. Moreover, looking at the mark, it seemed that he had used a lot of force. Otherwise, it wouldn't be so red and swollen. Did I ask you? Who asked you to blabber? Since when did you become so bold? In an instant, Linya returned to her original position. It was as if nothing had happened. My lord, this subordinate knows his mistake. Messiah quickly knelt down. He was terrified. This was also the first time Huamian had seen Linya lose her temper. He was simply too temperamental. Why did you hit Messiah? I asked her to bring me there. Huamian blamed himself and stood in front of Messiah, afraid that she would be slapped by Linya again. If a servant is disobedient, I naturally have to teach her a lesson. Mion, did you do an ultrasound? How is it? What does the baby look like? Let me see. Linya smiled and reached out her hand to Huamian. Do you still care about this? Of course, he's my little grandson. For some reason, every time Linya smiled or spoke gently, Huamian felt exceptionally strange. You don't have to worry. Do you have anything else to say? If not, please go back. I'm going to bed. Huamian didn't want to continue talking to Linya. Chapter 4372. However, Linya didn't seem to have any intention of leaving. Instead, she beckoned with her hand. Huamian threw the baby photo in his hand towards Linya. It was like a scene from a supernatural movie. Linya picked up the photo and looked at it before looking at Huamian. Not bad. The little guy looks like you. Although he's not that good-looking, he's quite good-looking. You missed your due date, right? Does it have anything to do with you? Of course it does. Linya, either let me go or kill me. What kind of person are you to put me under house arrest like this? You even put Dad and Yen under house arrest. You're a demoness. Miss Mion, don't say it. Messiah knelt on the ground and kept tugging at Huamian's skirt, reminding him not to anger Linya like this. It's okay. Let her say it. I'm willing to listen. Linya waved her hand. She didn't seem to mind Huamian saying such vicious words. Linya, you keep saying that you care about me, your biological daughter, and your grandson. Then let me go and let Dad and Yen go. If you're willing to stop, I believe they'll forgive you. The 4 of us can live a good life together. Let go of your legend of immortality. Huamian didn't expect to persuade Linya to give up her great cause with just a few words. However, she wanted to give it a try. It was better than not saying anything. If Linya wasn't so stubborn, she might really be willing to give it a try and accept her, even though she wasn't likable. Go on, go on. Linya looked at Huamian with interest, with a smile on her face that no one could see through. Huamian pointed at the baby photo. He's just a little life. He was about to be born safely, but because of the psycho you created, Layla, an explosion in Yunnan, he and I almost died. Look at you. How could you kill your own daughter? I'm afraid there's no mother like you in the world. I used to think that since Dad loved you so much, you should be a very good woman. In Yan's and my memories, you were perfect. How could you be like this? Mion, what do you think is the most important thing in your life? Money, status, ability, and power? Linya asked her. No, my family is the most important thing in my life. But they will die eventually. Once they're all dead, what will you have left? Humans have their limits. They will die sooner or later. They will die and so will I. Dying, isn't this a very normal thing? But what if Mommy can keep you alive? Is this what you mean by immortality? Huamian asked. He still felt that it was nonsense. Mion asked Messiah. How old is she? Linya looked at Huamian and then at Messiah, who was kneeling on the ground. Huamian tilted his head and looked at Messiah. Auntie Messiah. How old are you? Huamian trusted this maid a little. After interacting with her for the past few days, he found that she was actually a very gentle person. Messiah didn't dare to speak. Her fingers trembled slightly. Messiah, tell her the truth. It's okay. She'll know sooner or later. Miss Mion. I was born in 1836. After Messiah said this, Huamian burst out laughing. Anti-Messiah, stop fooling around, okay? Miss Mion, I'm not fooling around. You were born in 1836, so it's 2017. Doesn't that mean you're 181 years old? Huimin found it funny. But as she laughed, she felt that something was wrong. Messiah and Lin Yi didn't find it funny. Instead, they looked at her seriously. Chapter 4373. Mion, do you think it's funny? But it's not a joke. Whether you believe it or not, it's true. That's impossible. According to the Guinness Book of World Records, the longest lifespan of a human is 130 or 140 years old. How can you be 181 years old? You don't look like one at all. You don't have any wrinkles on your face. Aunt Messiah looks like she's only 40 years old. Huimin immediately denied this. Miss Mion, I swear on my life. I swear to you that what I said is true. If I lie to you, I'll die a horrible death. Aunt Messiah, I've always trusted you. You can't lie to me like this. I'm not a 3-year-old child. Mion, Messiah didn't lie to you. When I picked her up, she was indeed 39 years old. She was almost beaten to death by her black husband when he was drunk. I saved her, so she's been with me ever since. Wait. You said you saved her? Huimin sneered. Lin Yi nodded. Which year? 1875, Lin Yi and Messiah said in unison. Messiah continued, I'll never forget the summer of 1875. I thought I was going to die. Finn smashed my head with a beer bottle. I felt pain all over my body and the ground was covered in blood. Master saved me and helped me kill Finn. Then, Lin Yi, how old are you? Huimin felt like he could hear his own heartbeat. Messiah said that she was born in 1836 and was 181 years old. Lin Yi saved the 39-year-old Messiah in 1875. Then, something terrifying happened. How old was Lin Yi? After Huimin asked the question, Messiah didn't dare to speak. She cautiously glanced at her lord. She did not know what her lord meant. Was she willing to tell Huimin her real age? Lin Yi only paused for 5 seconds. Then she smiled at Huimin and said, Mion, I'm sorry. I was born in 1665. So you're 352 years old this year? Huimin was amused. It was as if this was the funniest thing he had ever heard in his life. Lin Yi remained silent. Huimin continued. If it's 1665 AD, we're still in the Qing dynasty. Lin Yi, don't tell me you're from the Qing dynasty. Did you transmigrate to modern times? You've read too many novels, Mion. I didn't transmigrate. I've lived for a long time. Master, there's too much information. Let's tell Miss Mion slowly. I'm afraid she won't be able to handle it. Messiah seemed to have some concerns. However, Lin Yi remained calm. Mion is very smart. She only needs to think about it to know what's going on. Huimin looked at the two of them and smiled. Are you done with your story? If you're done, I'm going back to sleep. With that, Huimin walked towards his room. Mion. Lin Yi suddenly called out to her. Huimin stopped in his tracks. I was indeed born in 1665 AD. In 1665 AD, which is the 4th year of Kangshi's reign, on the 2nd day of March, I was born in a manor in the suburbs near the capital. I was the only child in my family because my siblings before me all died within a month of birth. In order to save my life, my parents, who are your grandparents, carried me to a nearby Taoist temple and begged the famous Taoist priest Bai He to write a talisman for me to save my life. Lin Yi, your story is very melodramatic. I don't want to hear it. Huimin said contemptuously. Chapter 4374. Faced with Huimin's disrespect and contempt, Lin Yi still smiled faintly. Mion, if you think it's a melodramatic story, then treat it as a story. I remember that in the year I was born, 1665 AD, your grandma told me that in March of that year, there was a large-scale earthquake near the capital. At that time, technology wasn't as advanced yet and everyone was terrified. Several parts of the solid city walls even collapsed. At the same time, there was a violent storm and the walls and houses collapsed. Everyone fled, and even the Kangxi Emperor and the Empress Dowager evacuated to the suburbs and lived in temporary tents. They were afraid that there would be aftershocks. In that era, people were always superstitious. After I learned a lot from my master in the Taoist temple, I understood that it was actually the rulers of the Qing dynasty who killed people indiscriminately and committed too many sins. They inhumanely slaughtered the Han people. That's why the disaster fell from the sky, but the ones who suffered were the common people. Linya, if you were really born in 1665, then you're more than 300 years old now. You're still alive. And you're not old. Then are you a monster? Did you eat the flesh of Tang Xing, or did you eat the longevity pill that was buried with Emperor Qin? Huamin felt that this matter was too ridiculous, so he asked this question in a mocking tone. Linya smiled again. However, she didn't continue this topic. She gently placed the ultrasound photo in Huamin's hand. Was it a psychological effect? Every time Huamin touched Linya's fingers, he felt a bone-chilling coldness without any human warmth. Therefore Huamin once suspected that Linya was a clone. She wasn't the real deal. After all, after coming here he had seen too many mysteries. Even Huasiqian, who had been blown to pieces, could be revived by Linya. What couldn't a monster like her do? Huamin held the photo. He lowered his head and didn't look at Linya. He hated seeing her face. The baby won't be waiting for long. Mommy is looking forward to the arrival of my grandson. Haha, are you trying to get my child again? Huamin sneered. How can you think of your mother like that? I really like this baby. Huamin didn't want to argue with Linya anymore. He went straight into the room and slammed the door. Outside, Master, you told Miss Mion. Messiah didn't expect it to be so sudden. Her master had told her everything. Messiah had even forgotten how long she had lived with her master in this world. Everyone wants to live forever. After Mion figures it out, she'll come and beg me. After all, no one wants to die or grow old. But men can keep changing, right? Linya's smile was eerie and terrifying as she walked away. Sea City Qinchu was in the room where Granny and Xiaoling lived, waiting for Granny to plant a goo worm on him. He had thought that it would be an earth-shattering event. When he saw his grandmother come out with a black box the size of a matchbox, Qinchu realized that he had thought too much. It wasn't as ridiculous as what was shown on TV, nor was it as mysterious as what was written in those supernatural novels. Little Qin, sit down cross-legged. Hissed Granny. In a while I'll put the goo worm into your body. No matter how painful or uncomfortable it is, don't move. Goo worms like the one-heart goo are extremely timid. I'm afraid that if you move too much you'll scare it away. Once it enters your body and comes out, if it sees light it'll turn into ashes. And after so many years I only have one goo worm. So, it's now or never. Unexpectedly, Granny was so old, but her logic and thinking were extremely clear. Qinchu nodded and sat down cross-legged as Granny said. Chapter 4375. Little Qin. Hissed Granny. Close your eyes. Hiss. Qinchu closed his eyes in complete trust and sat cross-legged on a cushion on the floor of the living room. The mat was filled with dense runes and incantations. Ling, bring me some water. Granny instructed. Then Ling brought out a bowl of water. Granny held a talisman in her hand. She didn't use any auxiliary tools to light it. The yellow talisman ignited on its own in her hand. Then Granny poured the ashes of the talisman into the water. Strangely, the water didn't look dirty at all. It was still a bowl of water. Ling had seen Granny cast spells before, so she didn't make a fuss. Instead, he simply stood by the side and watched intently. Ling, go into the room. Granny, I'll learn from you too. After so many years, this is the first time I've seen the same heart goo. The little girl seemed to be very interested in these metaphysics. No, go into the house. I'm enough for the family. Ling, don't walk the same path as Granny Goo. The old woman scolded sternly. Xiao Ling pursed her lips and reluctantly returned to her room. Little Qin, drink this bowl of water. The old woman handed a bowl of water to Qinchu. Qinchu closed his eyes and drank the water without hesitation. At this point, Qinchu knew better than anyone else that he shouldn't doubt the people he used. Since he had chosen to believe Granny, he couldn't hesitate anymore. Therefore, the old lady liked Qinchu's boldness. After Qinchu drank the water, his body began to undergo subtle changes. His entire body was emitting a kind of heat. In an instant it was a high temperature. It was as if his body was running a high fever of 38 or 39 degrees. However, he still didn't say anything. He just closed his eyes and waited for everything. The old lady slowly opened the black box. Then, as she chanted an incantation, she took out a dagger and cut a small wound on Qinchu's left wrist. Blood immediately flowed out, 5 seconds later, a red bug crawled out of the black box. Its body was transparent, as if the red liquid inside was swaying as it crawled. It was especially strange. The old lady continued to chant. Chin Chu remained motionless. The red bug followed the blood and crawled towards Chin Chu's wrist. Then it went straight into the wound that had just been cut open by the dagger. At that moment the pain was unbearable. Chin Chu only felt a piercing pain in his entire arm. But he still didn't move. He kept Grandma's words in mind. After the goo worm entered, the old lady took out a yellow talisman and sealed the wound. Then he continued to chant the incantation. Chin Chu could even feel something crawling up his left arm. Every step was an unforgettable pain. Gradually, beads of sweat appeared on his forehead. The whole process lasted about 20 minutes. Just as Chin Chu felt that he couldn't hold on any longer and was about to faint from the pain, Lin Fan's eyes lit up. That kind of pain magically disappeared. Little Chin, you can open your eyes now. Hearing Grandma's words, Chin Chu slowly opened his eyes. He subconsciously looked at his left wrist that had just been cut by the knife. He couldn't believe his eyes. The wound had disappeared as if nothing had happened. His body was no longer hot, and had returned to its usual state. Grandma, the goo worm has already entered. Next I'll cast a spell to find him. You might have to suffer a little later. It's okay, I'm not afraid. Chin Chu nodded firmly. Ling, come out for a moment. Grandma called out to her granddaughter again. Chapter 4376. Grandma, help Grandma hold this, the old lady said as she pointed at a large world map on the ground. Ling spread out the map and held it up with both hands. The old lady took out the dagger again and looked at Chin Chu. When I start chanting, close your eyes and think of your wife. All the happy times you and your wife have. In short, it must be everything about her. The stronger the obsession, the stronger the power. Okay. Chin Chu nodded excitedly. He could already feel that Mion wasn't far away from him. It'll still hurt a little. You have to bear with it. I can do it. Don't worry, Grandma. This pain was nothing compared to the pain he felt when he lost to a Mion. Therefore to Chin Chu any physical pain was bearable. Then the old lady chanted another spell. She cut open Chin Chu's left index finger. Then as if he was possessed he kept moving his finger on the world map. Blood kept seeping out. Ling held the map and didn't dare to move. Chin Chu couldn't help but point randomly. He knew that it wasn't his own strength but the goo worm's guidance. He didn't care about the tearing pain in his body. He just focused and tried his best to think about Mion and everything that happened when they were together. 5 minutes passed. In the end his finger settled on a point, and stopped. No matter how much the old lady chanted, his finger didn't move. Grandma, it should be done. Ling reminded her softly. Then the old lady stopped chanting. She opened her eyes. She saw Chin Chu's finger leave a 6-petal-shaped blood stain. It's here. Chin, you can open your eyes now. Excited, Chin Chu opened his eyes and looked at the location on the map. Slightly serious. He had never thought that Mion would be in such a place. Inside Suyu's private mansion. Suyu was drinking beer and watching the NBA All-Star game. Han Yueyao called at this time. Seeing that it was her, Suyu picked it up. President Su, yes. Did you ask the company to transfer the money to me? Yes. Why did you do this? Han Yueyao had mixed feelings when she saw the message of 5 million yuan in her account. She knew that her sudden announcement of her withdrawal from the entertainment industry had caused Suyu a great loss. So how could he have the nerve to ask for any reward? Maybe it wouldn't even be enough to pay for the breach of contract. It's not a small amount. You should stop while you're ahead. I've deducted the rest. These are for your retirement. Suyu said in a joking tone. Han Yueyao wanted to cry. Her voice was choked with sobs. President Su, why are you so nice to me? I'm not worth it really. I'm just a person who gave up halfway. Dreams and perseverance don't matter to me. Don't cry. It's almost the new year. It's not auspicious. Once you get the money, go buy some New Year goodies for your parents like new clothes or something. President Su, thank you. Han Yueyao tried hard not to cry. After returning to Jing City she missed Suyu almost every day. But she knew that once she took this step she wouldn't be able to go back. Chapter 4377. Han Yueao also knew that it must be Su Yu's idea to receive this huge sum of money from Imperial Star. 5 million yuan wasn't a lot for Su Yu. It wasn't enough to buy a big house in Jing City. But for Han Yueao's family, it was a large sum of money that could be used for many things. The moment she received the money, she even imagined asking her parents to sell their small house in Jing City. With this huge sum of money, the three of them could go to a small coastal city in the southeast region and buy a seaside house with a balcony. Then they could open a happy snack bar downstairs and make some special snacks in Jing City to sell to all kinds of people. Her wish of many years was easily fulfilled by Su Yu with a huge sum of money. Don't thank me. I'm an evil capitalist and I've earned a lot from you. Su Yu couldn't stand being praised and refused to admit his good deeds. Don't say that. With a cook duck. You're so stubborn. Damn it, you called Boss Chen a duck. Give me back the 5 million yuan. Han Yueao immediately smiled through her tears. No, no, no. You want to take back the money that's in my hands. In your dreams. Okay, that's right. It's New Year's Eve, you should smile more. You look so good when you smile. Su Yu, if you can't find a wife in the future, and I can't get married. Su Yu coughed lightly and waited for her to continue. He thought Han Yueao would say that he would marry her when the time came. Unexpectedly, the girl changed the topic. Why don't we become sworn sisters? We can form a team called Brother and Sister, Han Yueao said with a smile. Su Yu, shouldn't it be one who can't find a wife and the other can't get married? So you had read this kind of plot in romance novels. So what the hell was this about becoming sworn sisters? Ah, in your dreams. Who wants to marry you? You've been flirting with countless girls these years. You were too arrogant when you were young. When you're old, your kidneys are failing. I don't want you, Su Yu, damn it. Is this something an unmarried girl like you should say? It's embarrassing. Su Yu was exasperated. Anyway, all kinds of disdain. Think, girl. Don't let me catch you. Or I'll knock your head off, Su Yu teased her. Come on, come on. You're welcome to knock. My head has been feeling itchy recently. Maybe I need a beating. Come and try. Han Yueao was completely provoking him. Su Yu had planned to chat with Han Yueao for a while. After all, she was a nice girl. After Han Yueao's departure, he didn't want to Yueao's attitude. However, he had to call. Looking at Qin Chu's incoming call, Su Yu's expression turned grim. Big Yao Yao, I'll talk to you later. I have something to do. Okay. I'll talk to you later. Han Yueao hung up happily. She didn't know that this was the last call she had with Su Yu. From then on, Han Yueao couldn't contact Su Yu again. She regretted countless times that she didn't shamelessly talk to Su Yu more. She had so many things on her mind that she didn't have time to tell Su Yu. Qin Chu. After hanging up, Su Yu immediately picked up Qin Chu's call. Su Yu, where are you? I'm at home. Wait for me. I'll be there soon. Then Qin Chu hung up in a hurry. But with Su Yu's understanding of Qin Chu, he knew that every time he called, it was for something important. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.